Hello, hello. Hey, Chef Alton. And happy Monday. Please let me know if I sound the same. I keep messing up my audio setup. Well, messing with. And I think I set everything back to normal, but if I sound different, let me know. Okay, so today's all going to be about challenge mode. So he's putting all of his effort into that today. And let's put this here. Sounds normal. Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, hope you had a good weekend. Let's get our today command. Then let's get our tenets figured out. I think this is a worthwhile process to do, or else I wouldn't be doing it. But it also doesn't take very long. And it does give me a chance to reflect on what's going on here. So sustainability, work stuff is still fine. Personal life is going nuts with how much there is, but that's kind of unrelated. I feel energized about Skeleseller still. I may need the tiniest break just because I've been going nonstop between everything. Okay, bricklaying. Yeah, we're doing this. The redesign of challenge mode was necessary, and we did it without just barreling forward. Now we have a bunch of tasks to do to launch it. And I think the best indicator of this is that I got done with all of my personal stuff yesterday. And then worked on marketing and only finally got to decompress at like 7 p.m. So I don't think I'm wasting the opportunity. All right. I think things are going well. Like I mentioned, personal life is just full throttle right now, and it's not bad stuff. It's just I'm spending a lot of time. It's like imagine if every night you got home at midnight or something. That's not what's happening. But it's not that it meant hey you were upset or something's going wrong. But that plays into I think the burnout balance a little bit. Like I work, I need a little bit of time to decompress. I need a variety of things. I'm feeling good for today. I'm hoping it stays good, but I want to keep an eye on that. Hey Stockton, hey Midnight Bind. And then yeah, marketing. I think I have an update here. Well, I got to come up with a new plan. Yeah, I emailed 3 new people and sent 25 follow-ups. I heard back almost immediately from 2 people. And I think as of this morning, I've heard from like 4 or 5 of those 28 people. So, hey, it's like a 15% response rate. That's pretty good. Anyway, the next plan, so involve emailing new people so I can fill the pipeline again. So maybe find 15 new people and the next week, email 10 old ones and 10 new ones. Yeah, I think emailing 15 new people would be a good idea. So let's write that down as a marketing plan for week 7. So it's been 7 weeks of marketing. I followed up. So reach out to 15 new people. And we could post on incremental games. Just, I think we might want to save that for closer to launch. Yeah, I think we'll just reach out to some new YouTubers. Hey, Codex. Multiple social obligations. Yeah. We just did, it was like 4 sets of plans this weekend. And it's just, it's a bit much. So I said to my wife, I'm like, can we not do anything now for the next like week? And she's like, yeah, that's good. We coincidentally didn't have anything booked. Like I said, though, it's been good. Just we gotta slow down a little bit. Yeah, 15% is good. So what I noticed is I have done follow-ups twice now. The first was a batch of 9, and I got, I think, 3 responses. Then there was this batch of 25, but it was done a little bit weirdly due to me messing up my email settings. It doesn't matter. And I've gotten, I don't know, like 3 to 4 responses so far. We'll probably get one or 2 more. And then there was a new batch, like new people, was just 3 people. And 1 already made a video. To me, that's like crazy turnaround time here. I guess they'd heard of the game before without me reaching out to them. So then I kind of just was like, hey, what about making that thing? Actually, you know what? I should share their video in here. Let me do that. New Skeleseller video on YouTube from Plum Yeti. There's also a short news Skeleseller video. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm happy to see how this is all going. The other side of this coin is that I'm mostly reaching out to small-ish YouTubers, and as a result now all the metrics have kind of gone down because like the large YouTubers, their momentum has died down. So current players, it says 3. And if we look at wishlist count in, let's say, the last week, it's 327, which is great. I think that's fine, but you can see the line is trending down. So at its lowest point, it was at 25. I don't think it's worth focusing on metrics too much, except for that I think it is an indication of how well I'm marketing. And the time I saw these numbers like skyrocket was when big YouTubers played it. And I want to see if we can get at least like one more of those things to happen. Because, yeah, it'd be nice to get a little bit more into the pipeline. All right, so the marketing plan for this week is figured out. Let's see what else we have. Roadmap, maybe wait until we're done in challenge mode to tackle this since it's a necessity. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. Work on challenge mode and then work on the roadmap. A lot of this is stale, but challenge mode is more important. Like, we know challenge mode has to happen. So there's no real reason looking at anything else right now. Or at least not for the sake of doing work. Maybe for the sake of planning. But yeah, are we on track? What needs to change? I'll write this down over here. I don't want to keep this here the whole time. Okay, done with that. Next, a key issue in Skeleseller is that there's nothing to react to. The game doesn't change as you play it. Maybe if there were any event every 5 minutes, it would change things up. Otherwise, your goal is always the same and the locations are basically the same. You need to think of how Vampire Survivors changes things. I don't think Vampire Survivors does really change things, though. VS has bosses every so often. But I guess mini bosses and bosses. Yeah, yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, let's go open up our challenge mode document. We actually have a couple of these open. I think where we left off was doing a commit, and I need to look at that still. But for now, let's go find out where I wrote about Vampire Survivors. Also, missions are on a time limit to win, which is probably even slightly worse than a time limit to lose. Yeah, actually, this was something I did not like about Vampire Survivors. And I played an early version, so maybe they've changed this. But originally it was like you'd pick a level and then sometimes you have a time limit for that level. And sometimes that time limit was like 30 minutes. And that was your win condition. So you couldn't speed this up. You couldn't be like, well, I'm winning in 22 minutes because I accomplished some objective. The objective was survive. The game's called Vampire Survivors for 30 minutes. So as a game thing, that's fine. But you then think about what's going on in real life and you're like, do I have 30 minutes to block off or do I want to spend 30 minutes? What is the pacing of that 30-minute run? And that's sometimes a tall order. And they had things eventually like you could go into turbo mode or something. I don't know what. But yeah, they launched with a maybe slightly suboptimal winning objective, at least in my mind. What else is on my clipboard right now? Yeah, this. We don't have anything to react to. So I think we got to figure that out. And maybe I'll write that in the to-do thing. Which is like, do a fun, like gauge the fun. Game doesn't change. Nothing to react to. So your plan is kind of on autopilot. All right, where do we leave off? So yeah, this stuff. I gotta go look through the commit that I had. Is there anything else on the to-do list? Nope, it's just this. Okay. Yep. Let's get to work. So title screen now has a tooltip, which we never fetched before this. No, we passed it into other things, but now we pass it into the new challenge run screen. That's fine. Then there's a delete me scene. I'm going to delete it, obviously, but I wonder what I was doing with it. Oh yeah, I was styling buttons. I didn't even really use that. Okay, that's fine. We'll delete that too. Delete. Okay. New challenge run screen. We added in a bunch of buttons here. I think that's good. Battle perk choice generator. This was for the sake of making a random battle perk. Yeah, so this is what I didn't like. And it was Friday, and I was like, I'll just think about this later. And I had no time over the weekend to think about this stuff. So this is the later right now. And now's when we're going to look at how this worked. So we made, well, this is all fine. Yeah, I guess that's not the problem. The problem was, well, it's none of that either. This is garbage. We got to move things out of town. It's in town.cs for right now. God, I wish .cs wouldn't make it into a URL. There's got to be some way to be like, I will never type .cs as a TLD. Okay, this is fine. It's a little weird. Huh, that's weird. It didn't put summary there. Huh, it still isn't doing that. Why is that? It looks like it's auto-completing. When you put 3 slashes, it usually types out summary. I want to type out summary myself. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so it chooses a perk. This is called, it's called force choose perk, because this can be done from the challenge mode specializations to set up to act as though you chose the perk through the UI. All right, that's okay. Yeah, so this being hacky is something I wanted to figure out how to get around. And how did we do this for... Oh yeah, I put this here too. Okay, so both of these are kind of hacky. All right, can we merge these at all? Do these look the same? Here's the battle version of it. Where's the town version of this? I think they're kind of sort of the same. Should be ability ID. Okay, so what's the difference? Let's play spot the difference. Town perk choice, and we make a perk choice UI. We add it, we hide it, we init it. Then we do a certain thing, force choose perk. And then we free it. Yeah. Okay. What I like to do is put all of this hacky code into one spot, probably in choose perks panel tab. And just make a public void. In fact, actually, is that where force choose is called from? Maybe this will get a little bit simpler. Yes, it is. Okay. Maybe then it's not so bad. Public void testeroni. We'll figure out what this takes, and we're gonna have to move some things around. So to do, probably change force choose perk to be private. And then this needs to take in whatever this inherits from, challenge mode perk choice, which the caller will construct. Oh, but then it needs to instantiate the right kind of scene. We probably don't have a way to do that. Oh, we do. We take in a choice, we instantiate the right kind of thing, we add it, we initialize it. Taking a choice, we instantiate the right kind of thing, we add it, we hide it, we initialize it. Okay, they're pretty much the same. All right, that's not too bad. So we do create perk choice. So this is going to be the caller. This stuff's all done. This returns the perk choice, I guess. Perk choice, which is technically UI. I really should have renamed this stuff. We'll hide it. Then we'll force choose it. Then we'll free it. I don't even think the hiding it is necessary. Now, what is this? What does this take in? It takes in the UI, and then it takes in the choice, yeah. All right, so this is more like choice UI. All right. So yeah, now nothing should call that. So let's call, what do we do this? Like grant or force grant perk. Yeah. All right, I can see this all coming together. It shouldn't be too bad. So we generate a perk choice, then we do this. And what does it take in? It takes in just the choice, which is this. And then we just delete all of this code. Oh, that looks better. now we gotta fix it in the choose town perks panel tab. Like this has force grant ability. It should be dead simple to do, right? We just call force grant perk choice and then delete all of this. Okay, not too bad. Yeah, not too bad. This is abilities. This isn't even singular. Okay, now I think we're in good shape. So now nothing is calling this outside of here, so this can be private. This is not force choose perk anymore. This is more like the code that has to happen when a perk was chosen. I think we have perk was chosen as a thing already though, which is a shame. Maybe this should just be that function and it should call into the parent class. Is that the first thing that happens? It is. So then what's the problem here? And does it take in the same argument? It doesn't. Ugh. We need to take in both of these. Can you get one from the other? Oh, you can. Oh my God. Oh, we're making progress. We're finally making progress. Yeah, this is just choice. All right, so then this doesn't exist. Okay, so then can we consolidate this into there? This is becoming quickly less hacky. Hey, Cypher. It's going well. I'm feeling hopeful still. I'm energized to work on this stuff. There's always this, like a good day of coding is formed out of, I'd say, some motivation, energy, and capability. So you can have any two of these and it might not be a great day. Like you're motivated, you really want to do stuff, but your brain just isn't operating. This is like brain power. Or you have the energy and you have the ability, your brain is operating fine, but you're like, I just can't do it. I've done too much work. You lack the motivation. So these two are definitely there today. I can't tell yet if this one is there. So far, it seems to be. But yeah, every once in a while, I'll start streaming and I'll be like, wow, I am coming up with terrible solutions. I'm not thinking through things clearly. All right, so let's see how this gets overridden by child classes. I guess I could always just call into the parent class. Let's just search for that. Override. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. And could they all just call into the parent class? I have too many tabs open, so let's close all those other ones. Let's see, it will just do these two things. And then this can just call perk was chosen. And then we call that at the end. Okay, hold on. I'm just trying to think of what's the order that this is all going to happen in. We'd normally call this, which this can get deleted. We normally call this, it would go up to here. This would call everything in this function, and then we'd call these two things. So we can just call the base function at the end. But what is this for? It's already breaking. Yeah, what does this do? I think this triggers an event that probably shouldn't have worked this way, maybe. We add to this. Okay, that's necessary. We clear this. Yeah, that's necessary. So wait, couldn't we do this at any point? I think we can do this at any point. I think this can't be done at any point. Because something listens for this. Update the buy button, for example. Yeah, this is based on the cost of the next perk. So this needs to happen last. I'm just trying to think, is there a better way of doing this? This is kind of that way of doing it, I suppose. Just make sure it happens in the right order. I am torn. I am very torn. Yeah, I think the naming can be better. So chooses a perk, grants a perk. This is typically used to grant a perk through code in such a way that it's as though you granted, it's as though the player chose it in the UI. E.g. for town perks, the perk will then show in your perk history. For battle perks, it will update the adventurers correctly. This kind of points to a problem with our events if we're doing things this way. But I don't want to fix this yet. So I think what I want to do is just change the name of this somehow. It's the same as perk was chosen. It's just there's an implied order that matters. Or maybe there's an after perk was chosen thing. What does this do again? This gives you whatever it is the perk did. Why do we call this here? Oh, I see. Grant effect of perk. Maybe that's what we call it. Grant effect from perk. This will give you whatever the perk was supposed to do. E.g., if it's a building, you'll build something. If it's an adventurer, you'll hire them. Okay, is that maybe a little bit clearer now? So we call grant effect from perk. So now this is perk was chosen. Okay, that's a little better. Yeah, that's a little better. So now the only bad code in here is this stuff. Guess we can get rid of that. Is this code that's here. I don't want that there. Let's go look at that and let's see what we can do to fix that. So what's happening here is we have setup challenge mode and it does a bunch of stuff in the town itself. And then it does some stuff in the menus. No, it also does some stuff in town. So I think the easiest way to do this for now is we have another partial class for town. I think I'm just going to throw the challenge mode stuff in there. Partial class town. I was like, why did I not find anything? Because I'm searching the wrong way. Town challenge mode functions. We can put it in a different namespace. Is that doesn't sound like a thing. Yeah, it doesn't sound like a thing at all. It's not a thing. This is in game source debug, but it doesn't match this. If I did this, would this fail? Yes, because now they're different towns, right? It certainly seems that way, but I'm not 100% positive. Scene scripts. That doesn't fix everything, right? No. Yeah. It needs to be in the same namespace. Okay, so then fine. I'll save this as, I guess I'll save this in scene scripts. Call it town challenge mode functions. All I want is for all of this to be in one spot. Yeah. There. And then we just need to import all the same things that we had before. Which means we probably need to not import them from, whoop, that didn't work. We're almost there, almost. And there we have it. Okay. Good. So now the way we should do this is each specialization ID should point to a setup for this thing. Hey, Busto, how's it going? How do I want to do this part now? I mean, we could just have like a dispatch function for this. Yeah, I think that's fine. At least it's the simplest thing for now. So farming, adventuring, and industry. Set up farming specialization. Oh, well, that needs a void. Then set up adventuring specialization. Hey, Flair. Set up industry specialization. I liked, I don't know if the graphic is final in your game, but I think you had like a hand-drawn bird and then it got pacified and then it turned into like like a happy, I think photographic or a photograph of a bird. Graphics are final, yes. Anyway, I thought it was very cute. I liked it. So if it's not challenge mode, we should just return. And then bump this up all the way up to here. And that tabs everything back. And then this code can all be done in these separate functions. So what we're going to do is we're going to probably just make a dictionary specialization ID. Oh my God, I can't type. There. Specialization setups, new dictionary. Yeah, that's what I want. But this looks bad now, right? Aren't you supposed to do it this way? New, and then, I don't remember. I don't like this at all. I never like the syntax for this. It looks good once you have it typed out, but it's like impossible for you to remember how to type it out. Because it's just such a weird use of all of the different, you need parentheses, curly braces, and square brackets. And heck if I'm going to remember any of that. So how does this work? We do new, and then we put in the specialization ID. Farming goes to setup farming specialization. Okay, now we hope that it can fill in the rest for us, so I don't need to do that myself. Yeah, great. Now we delete all that. And then we do, oh, we need action. And then we get our specialization set up. Okay, and this should probably throw an error. Throw new not implemented exception. And then we delete all this. So here's the farming one. Put that down in the farming one. Whoops. Hello? There. Then this is the adventuring one. And then this is the industry one. Okay, how are we looking? Yeah, pretty good. Planning on adding some zoos on my vacation to get photos of all the creatures I need. Oh, nice. That's really cool. Hey, Darkstorm. Hey, thanks for finding those bugs and the leaks and everything that you found. I think that's really helpful. I admittedly have not been looking into this because I feel like there's so much new ground to pave that I just haven't looked at the old stuff again yet. All right, so all the specializations should work now. We'll test them super quickly. I'm not going to actually play the game. So this is start with a farm and 3 perks. So let's click that one. There's the farm, and there are 3 perks. Cool. So that's a level of verification we're doing here. Adventuring is start with 3 level 2 adventurers. Yep. And the final one is industry, which I think start with 5 workers. So we should have 1, 2, 3. Where's the 4th? There. Yeah, cool. That's it. More fun poking around than actually playing. Yeah. I was going to say, I wonder what you'll think of challenge mode once it's actually ready to be played. I think it'll take a little bit more noodling around to figure out what's best. So this is, if it's none, how is it even possible? Oh my God, the first time I started it. Yeah, we can't do that anymore. Oh man. Should we? Okay, here's, I guess even just from a gameplay perspective. So I had this idea of specializations, and you just saw what they are. You can, start with a farm, start with more adventurers. Should there be one that's literally just none? Start with no bonuses? Like, should the player get that? The player had this option. It's basically just hard mode. And I think the answer is no. I guess some people, well, some people might want the challenge, but it's kind of what the point of the ascension levels are. Turned out the issue was my physical mouse, one of the worst programming experiences of my life. Oh no. What was the problem? Like with the sensor? It was just moving in ways you didn't expect? Or was it clicking in weird ways? Because yeah, those sorts of issues, if you don't have a way of kind of debugging that outside of your game, can be really, really tough to track down. Like one of the things I have on this computer is something called Carabiner Elements, or no, sorry, the Event Viewer. And this is kind of interesting because let's say I have a problem with my keyboard and I'm like, oh, I'm pressing this key. What is it doing? You can see all the codes that are happening. Like it's holding down left command, then it's holding down W, then it's letting go of W, then it's letting go of left command. So it's sending command W, which is closing a window. But I might do something a little bit more complex here where I'm like, what was going on? And then I look at these and I'm like, oh my God, the events are wrong. This is a keyboard problem. And yeah, that has been a good tool to have. All right, so I don't know the answer to this, but I don't think we should worry about this for right now. So in the title screen, let's just, instead of for the chosen specialization, let's just start this as farming. That's probably the most reasonable one. Polling rate was set to some absurd number. Did I drag the mouse around very quickly? Caused my FPS drop. Really? Wow. Okay, that is very unique as far as issues go. All right, nice. So now we shouldn't get that exception about that. Yeah, perfect. Okay. All right, so this is done. Fix the hacky code. Needy adventurer cost to go up. Yeah, those I haven't done yet. Let's look at this one more time. I'm actually not certain this is a great idea. I just named these things like VBox container and HBox container too. So this is like specialization selections, choices, specialization choices. And then this is the specialization buttons. And now it's not called VBox container 2 and HBox container 2 and whatever else. These are the selection buttons, I guess. And then what's this thing? This is just the content. Yeah, I think it's fine calling that VBox container. All right, none of that should have caused a problem. I was moving the mouse with the cards in my hands. I kept thinking the issue was the hand rearranging optimization for 2 days. Yeah, it's rough. You know what I sometimes do is like a binary search through code to figure out what's breaking. So the other day, actually, I did this. I had a function with, line 1, line 2, ... line n. And I was like, I don't know where the problem is, so let's just take half of these and cut them out. And then if the problem went away, I was like, oh, it's in those half. So then through here, I'd be like, okay, of these, if I cut out line 2, does it happen? And I ended up finding it that way. So I wonder if you'd cut out your optimization code completely and you were like, let me just test this without it. By the way, the only reason I'm even mentioning this stuff is I think a lot of these problems lead to how do I stop this from ever happening again in the future? And that way it doesn't feel like, okay, I lost a few days to just a mouse problem, but rather I gained some obscure knowledge that I needed. Okay, so we moved some stuff around here. I already looked through a lot of this. I think this is looking good. This moved to a different file now. It's still part of a partial class. Not incredibly happy about that, but it's not the end of the world. The specialization thing could probably be in its own function entirely. Let's do that. Set up specialization. And just put this code here. Yeah, that's a lot simpler. Yeah. Cool. Imagine my surprise when commenting on both halves didn't solve the problem. Yeah. Well, it's a really cool thought if you find it early on enough and you're not frustrated of like, what? It doesn't have to do with any of my code? And then, yeah, you start poking around. I still remember one of the craziest things I found was an AWS bug where the short summary of it was um, my functions were running on a machine less powerful than advertised. This was crazy. So imagine if normally you can do X operations per second, and then what we had was X over 2 operations per second. So at first, just like with you, I was like, this is my code. It must be. Why? How could AWS have the bug here? So I looked into it and I started benchmarking everything. And I eventually found out that nope, it's just being put on a totally different machine. And it wasn't the machine they were advertising. And it was something that like the sad part about all this is this one costs, dollar sign, dollar sign. This one costs just a single dollar sign. So they were charging you the same amount, but giving you half the operations you should have gotten. That's like a really, really widespread problem and probably cost a bunch of companies money, but no one would have done the research to find out that it was costing them that money. So like, yeah, whatever. All right, AWS bill hasn't changed. Or well, maybe it probably would have gone up if you had some automatic scaling. Okay, what is this? Choosing which specialization you have? Yeah. Okay. I think we are good. So add specializations for challenge mode. There are only 3 right now. They all have to grant perks as though well, 2 have to grant perks as though you chose the perks through the UI. It turns out to be pure fraud. Well, I mean, it was engineer negligence, I think. I, I don't think fraud implies intent, but yeah, I don't think there was intent to defraud customers. Hey, Maisie. A hacky way to solve it by writing some script to automate causing the issue and then randomly pausing the execution during debug, hoping to catch performance. Then my automation didn't cause the bug. Yeah. All right, so need the adventure cost to go up if you choose the adventure specialization. What does cause this to go up right now? There's some like perk choice tracker, and it's this, and this is based on the number of perks chosen. And the adventures don't make you choose the perks. Okay, I see. So then we should do this through the tracker, which we should be able to get, I guess. How do we do that? Adventurer. Oh, well, how do we do it for these other ones? Force grant ability, force grant perk. Hey, Kevin. Good morning. Okay, is VS Code just breaking like 4 times in half an hour? This is nuts. I don't want it to do this. Now it's going to take its sweet time. There we go. So we create a perk choice. So this needs to, we need to go find the adventurer here. No, not that one. Adventurer choice. Isn't there a tab for this? Oh, I called it like the higher panel tab. Yeah, there it is. Higher panel tab. Okay, how does this work? Generate perk choice. We pass in a challenge mode perk choice. So the generator can give us that, right? Where's the generator? Here it is. And then how does that work? Pass in the tracker. Why do we need the tracker? Because it sets it? I don't think we need the tracker then. Which means you just need to generate this. Okie dokie. So this is get. This is like make perk choices out of. Oh, God. I got to think about this. It's already there without the challenge mode, but we need it either way. Even if I know that the start is extremely slow, I didn't feel like it's too boring to start all over. It made me think more about starting strategy to kickstart the town. I think some replayability is there, but I don't think it's universally there. I think that a lot of players that I've seen play, like let's say we have 8 systems in the game right now, like the farm, the enchanter. I think for a lot of people, once they get the 8th system, they start getting bored. Or they're like, what new thing is this game going to offer to me? Such that if you were to have them start the game again, they'd be like, well, I already did that. In fact, I got bored even before I finished the first playthrough. So I recognize that's just one potential psychographic of player. But yeah, I think only like maybe I'm just gonna make up a number here, like 10 or 15% of the player base would go back and play the game again in its current form. I think they need some kick to do it. Anyway, that's yeah. Like you said, we need it either way. But I think challenge mode would be more like, 70% of the player base might actually go back and play. All right, so we need a perk choice here. How did we do this in the other one? We got a battle perk choice. And that was the generator that would generate this thing. So I think we need a function that does that for this too. Public static adventurer perk choice. Generate adventurer perk choice. We don't need this. So we're just going to do this stuff. That can't possibly be the case. Do we need to, hang on, let me look at this. This is not UI. We have the adventurer perk choice. Yeah, right there. What is this? Okay. Okay. I think that's reasonable. Give me a sec. I'm still just trying to think through this. I'm not sure how I want to do it. I guess let's do this. No, let's not do that. Turn to the list of choices. We're sampling 2 classes and then we're building the perk choices out of that. What if we made one of these directly? We can. All right, let's find out. So we just called hire random adventurer for both of these things. What when you hire something through this, hire panel tab, there should be like a chose perk thing, right? Grant effect. It just says add adventurer. And what, this makes them wander around? I don't know. What is their starting state? Start state. Worker wander or wait for battle. Okay, interesting. So then I guess we don't have any issue here. We just need to, yeah, we just need to call into this. Okay, so number of adventurers, sure, that's all fine. Now let's get this. So get available classes is something that's done inside the generator here. This is public. Let's get the available classes for that. Available classes equals this. And paste this in there. Why is this, oh, there, that's why. No, wait, there's still something wrong here. What am I doing? Oh, we taking the town. Yeah, of course. Okay, so there's that. And then we need to make a challenge mode perk choice out of these things. Yeah, so this is the part I don't like. All right. Oh, what are you going to do? So now sample the number of adventurers that we want. Number of adventurers. Get this. Delete all this stuff. I guess set that to a constant. And then we go through each of these choices. Although if we're going to get the choices, we don't need to make this. We don't need this at all. We could just do... All right, I'm getting there. Adventurer class in available classes dot sample num adventures. Okay, there we have it. There we have it. Now we get the higher panel that doesn't exist. Why? Because I just never got it. Higher panel tab. Okay. So higher panel dot force grant this thing. Yeah. Okay. And then we just delete all that. And that should work. Let's go try it. So if this did work, all it would do is look like what we already had, except that the cost of the next adventure would go up. So we need to pick adventuring specialization. We start a new challenge run. We should see 3 adventurers. We do. They're not the right level. So I think I broke something. But the cost to hire the next one, yes, did go up appropriately. So I got to figure out what I deleted from here. Yeah, this, of course. Okay, well, let's go back to that then. So we got a battle perk choice for their adventurer class. That should do it. Okay, this is much nicer. Let's try this now. So we got to go to adventurer specialization. And now they should all be level 2. The first one isn't? Oh, because we only granted this for the new ones. For each adventure and get adventures. Adventure class. There we go. Now put this down there. You're not a var enjoyer? I see all the type declarations are explicit. I like using var just to sometimes do something like this and then replace it with the explicit thing. But we have a policy of no var in the code just so that if you're not in an editor, it's clear what something is. Because every once in a while, let's say you're not familiar with this code and you see this in someone else's code. You might be like, what is this thing though? Is it a list? Is it an object encapsulating a list? And if you have access to the code, you could figure that out, but it's a little bit harder. And if you are in an editor, you could just go to the definition and be like, oh, okay, that's what that thing is, then go back. But that's why I think just listing out explicitly is totally fine. You can still type var and then just change it. But that way it's always explicit. Okay, so this is, I don't know if I even tested this. I think this is working. Brain fire. I like that. All right, I got to actually choose the specialization, huh? All right, we did it. So now the next battle perk costs 20, yeah. All right. So let's check that in. Did this code get smaller? No, it actually got larger. That's fine. Okay, so the adventuring specialization raises higher prices. Before this, the hired adventurers weren't granted through the perk UI, so it wouldn't raise the cost of later adventurers. Hey, Campbell Soup. I can infer the type based on the method. I'll use var, otherwise I'll explicitly type it. Yeah, although even then, maybe you don't use it for primitives, but imagine something like var random number equals get random number. You might still wonder, is this an int or a float? Or I guess this is one of the cases where you might explicitly type it out. Maybe for something like did or is visible, you might do something like this, because then you'd know that it's a Boolean. I like just being explicit every time. Once I played the version with the treasure room, I realized that we either needed double the content we have now. Yeah, we are planning on doubling the content we have now. Yeah. So that is That is this document that we just haven't finished yet. But the idea, there are a couple of things, and I'll try to make this brief. One, and I know this is in negative color, but you can see how the boss shows up on the canyon here. So you will beat the boss, and then the canyon just becomes a playable area. So this makes it so that we now get 2 extra locations out of the map just by having the canyon and crypt there already. And then if we want to add like the mines inside of the mountain, we could. If we needed a third one, then we double all of them by just repeating them all. And we add in more bosses, and then you beat the game. New PR in the UI of GitHost. Maybe we should unbar the code base. Yeah, that's part of the reason. If you ever look at GitHub, it's like you don't want to have to track down through there because it's over the web. It's not going to be as fast. You might not know the hotkeys. You don't want to have to download the code. Maybe you're looking at it on a phone or something, where even if you can use the tools, they're just a pain. All right, there is something I'd like to do now that is not necessary, but that's going to bother me like crazy if I don't do it, which is rename this to Perk Choice UI. Every time I see just Perk Choice in the code, it's confusing. I guess this is clear enough that it's UI, so maybe all we need to search for is just the word. 314 results. I don't want to look through this. I mean, I guess we can delete the TSCN ones, which that's not a lot. Oh, man. Yeah, like, what is this? Okay, something is severely wrong with VS Code today. I don't know what's causing this, but I've had to reload already like 8 times. This is like, I want to switch away from VS Code kind of problem. I got to figure out what's causing that to happen. It's so frustrating. So this is not a UI thing. Oh, now I got to search for Perk Choice again. Resco, change the Vim. Probably wouldn't have this issue. So battle Perk Choice is fine. In fact, let's search for just the whole word. Yeah, there are only 47 results here. So yeah, this I think should change to Perk Choice UI. And battle Perk Choice UI. I want them to have UI in the names. So now those are done, which I guess means we now need to do this search again. Now there are 45 results. Okay, so what is this? Is this a UI thing or no? No, it is not. Okay, that's fine. I want everything that is a UI to be named UI. Yeah, Perk Choice. Okay, what about this? Create Perk Choice, that's fine. This should have UI in the name. Cool. Anything else here? This is a UI. Let's name it UI. All we're doing is renaming stuff. I just don't want to be confused by this in the future. This is a UI. That might break every function definition we have. We'll figure it out. Where did my search results go? There they are. Oh no, which one was it? I guess it was this one. I sure hope it was. I don't think it was. I don't care. Whatever. Let's just search again. We'll never find it. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. This stuff. That's fine. This is a UI. Let's rename it. Yeah. All right, we're getting there. Haven't tried the .NET one. Yeah, it's just frustrating. It keeps happening. Try restarting the extension host. They're about the same amount of time, I've noticed. And I think reloading the windows is what I need to do because I think I've tried it before. But the problem is more so just that I press F12 and I expect it to work. And now I'm like, did I do something wrong or did I do it right? And I have to reload. And like that thought process leading to some number of seconds that I have to wait is what's annoying. Also, I should take this other bracelet off. Hurts my wrist when I'm coding. Town perk choice is not a UI thing. This is a UI. This needs to match as well. Any others? Nope, that's it. And same thing here. Okay, this wasn't too bad. I didn't expect this to be too bad because I'm not doing anything. Yeah, nice. Okay, so if I run this, does it work? If it doesn't, then it's because there's somewhere that I didn't rename it to UI and now need to match a function signature. What's an LSP? It's a language server provider, I think. Language server protocol. Yeah, so anyway, it's like in order to know what a particular token is, you use your language server, and your editor then knows how to talk to the language server over this protocol. And that way you get all the features you're used to. I think syntax highlighting is part of that, but things like autocomplete are part of that. So yeah, if your language server messes up, then you just won't have that information. Okay, so we just renamed a bunch of these things to UI. Yeah, that's fine. There should be no functional change here at all. Clarify when a perk choice is UI. I just renamed a bunch of variables here. There is no change in functionality. The rationale is that we have challenge mode perk choice, which is not a Godot node, and perk choice, which is a Godot node. All right, so we are done with this. And that means we can check this thing off. So should we do these other 4 specializations? The problem is not in adding specializations. The problem is in balancing specializations. We could add 400 specializations to the game. But if you pick specialization number 397 and you're like, wow, you can't even win if you pick this one, then I don't think it's very fun. Also, I don't want to overwhelm the player with options. Yeah, so how about we just add these later? I'll put them in the design. Perks, ideas, design. I don't have specializations here, do I? Specializations. Okay, let's just copy them from the to-do list. I wanted it to copy as a list. What is going on here? So this was called farming. This is adventuring. This is industry for now. And then these are coded already. These are not coded. Hey, Ghost. Do you ever have to type on QWERTY keyboards? Yeah. How difficult is it going back? It's really not too bad. The way I always kind of think about it is if I'm like totally zoning out, I will occasionally type as though I'm on this keyboard and then realize that I'm not on this keyboard and then fix it. But yeah, the actual QWERTY typing speed hasn't really gone down too much. But the only time I'm really ever typing on QWERTY is when I'm gaming now. That's not totally fair. When I'm on my gaming machine. So I'll play a game and then, there might be a couple minutes in between matches and then I'm like writing an email. So I guess I'm gaming at the time, but writing an email is not a gaming activity. But yeah, I use my QWERTY keyboard for that. All right, so specializations. The other thing we got to do here, which is very important, is to add that to the to-do list to code any other specializations we want to code. Code any other specializations. And maybe put this here. Okay, we're done with that. Where are we at now? We're on this section. Gets me most as the thumb cluster. So many times I hit spacebar thinking I would do a backspace. Wait, what? There's no thumb cluster on a traditional keyboard though. So having space or backspace on a thumb cluster could be something you do even in QWERTY. That'd be the same for me. Looking to get a Voyager for work, and we'll stick to QWERTY if I'm either on my gaming PC or use a laptop directly. Yeah, I don't think you'll have a hard time, but I would highly advise against switching keyboard layouts just for the sake of it. Like if your typing speed is less than 80 words per minute on QWERTY right now, then learning a new layout may help you. But if your typing speed is like greater than 120 words per minute on QWERTY, probably don't change. I don't think it's going to be worth it. Oh, I see. Yeah. Changing the keyboard style itself. Yeah. And then the other question is, if you're going to change, what should you change to? Because now it seems like everyone has their own keyboard layout in the custom keyboard space. Like which one's best and what's going to be the easiest to learn. I'm at 90. Yeah, by the way, these are not exact numbers. The way I look at this is I was on QWERTY and I was typing in, let's say, X words per minute. And I'm probably back to X words per minute now after like 2 years. So it's not easy to get back up to a speed if you were already fast at typing just because you switched layouts. And it all does depend on how much you're practicing at it. And at some point I gave up practicing and I just started typing. So now I type a word like specialization and you can see me mess up or slow down because special, I guess, is close enough to what I type, and the ization shows up enough in English, and combining them shouldn't be that bad, but it's just not in my muscle memory to combine that. Whereas on QWERTY, it was. So like this word has not really appeared for me in the last 2 years. I just don't type it that often. And I think that's how you sort of embed this stuff in your muscle memory. Ideally, it's just bigrams and trigrams, but that's not entirely how your brain works. All right, so you quickly run out of things to spend money on. It's only buildings, adventures, and town perks. Maybe you should be able to spend gold on battle perks, but it's a worse ratio. Paying to re-roll would probably help. Having more perks would help, but having more variety would also maybe be interesting. Guess treasure room will help. So I think we're just leaving this for now and saying we need more perks and we need the treasure room. Do I have the treasure room in phase 1? I might not. Oh God, where is it? Treasure room. Why is this like the weirdest search? Oh, look at that. Do you see this? This says 7 here. When I press enter, it says 1 and an 8. That's what confused me because it's going to a different tab. But it does so by changing the number weirdly. Okay, well, let's find out where this is then. I didn't even write this down. Oh, I didn't write it down. Oh God. Okay. I think we need to get the treasure room working. Get the treasure room working. Maybe it's add more perks. Could we add any other category of perks? Maybe I should just add this as a design question for now, for playtesters. I'll just write this down here. How do you feel about how you're spending money / sludge? Note to self, this question may already be on the list somewhere. My concern while doing early playtests personally was that you quickly run out of different things to spend money on. It's just gold is just what? Town perks, buildings, adventurers, and treasure chests, which didn't exist, which I guess I took out temporarily, so I didn't have access to these. And then sludge was just battle perks. I think that having more perks in general would help. but having another category of thing to spend money on may be good. Or maybe having a way to buy a battle perk with gold rather than sludge. 8 comes after 1. This is preschool stuff. I was 6 afraid of 7 because 7 won 8. I'm at 81 words per minute thinking of Colmac DH. Yeah, it's probably like borderline valuable. I guess it also depends on how you type on QWERTY. I've heard everything at this point. People using just 2 fingers, people using 4 fingers, people using like their entire left hand, but half of their right hand. Something like that. So if you fall into like any of these sorts of categories where you don't feel like you're typing properly, then yeah, it could probably be worth learning a new layout. So we're just going to delete this for now and say that we probably need to get this working, else you won't have as much to spend gold on. Would anyone ever pick the warehouse first? If not, don't present it first, or present it with a perk. So do we have that as a question? God, it's so hard to search through this stuff. It's like, I want a way of searching just the highlighted text. Can I do that? No, you can't. Okay, well, there is a way we can do this, but it's annoying, which is we just copy paste all this in here and then search for warehouse. No, it's not there. Okay. Does the warehouse ever seem appealing to build first? If not, then we either shouldn't offer it first or should offer it with an innate perk, like the plus interest on items stored. I think we should just change this now. I don't think it's interesting. And I think getting that as a first choice is stupid. What I'm talking about is this. You click build and the warehouse shows up. Do you ever want that first? Like, would you ever pick this over the garbage slime or any other option? So there are only 6 options. The warehouse, the garbage slime, the farm, the fishing pond, the enchanter, and the treasure room. Is the warehouse more desirable than any of those? And I think the answer is right now, no. Like the garbage slime is a way to get rid of extra items. The warehouse is just a way to store them. The farm is a way to level up. The fishing pond's a way to level up. The enchanter can do a little bit of everything. The treasure room is a way of spending some of your items. Yeah, I think let's just get rid of it for now. Hey, LA. 2-finger gang. And you can still type quickly with 2 fingers. It's just, you'll probably be happier if you learn a new layout and type with all your fingers. Zico, you can use gold to reroll your perk choices and increase the amount per reroll. Yeah. That's another thing we could potentially do. But yeah, I think we need more to spend it on. Occasionally throw a pinky press here and there. Yeah, the corn has made it so that I'm like always typing correctly now. I don't do something weird where I'm like moving. Well, it's a split keyboard, but I don't use the right hand on these keys and the left hand on these keys. Whereas if it were together, you might do that. I use my pinky for 4 different keys. 6 different keys, sorry. 6 different keys. Because on QWERTY, actually, if you think about it, you're like, right pinky isn't typing any letters other than P, right? I mean, P isn't the most uncommon letter, but it's not ultra common. I know you're typing some punctuation, the apostrophe's there, you press enter, probably backspace. I always hit space with right index. What? What? In Spanish, I use it for accents. Yeah. Spanish keyboard's gonna be different. Okay, yeah, so let's get rid of this. So building generator. We generate choices, but if you haven't gotten any of them, then we should not offer the warehouse. How do we do this? Yeah, how do we do this? Because this is used somewhere else, isn't it? buildings 10, yeah. Okay, then let's do this. List building ID. Building IDs to make perks from. No, this is not smart. This is not smart at all. Let's just prune out. Yeah, that's what we should do. We should just prune out the warehouse if you haven't chosen anything. So if perk choice tracker.num perks chosen is equal to 0, then available building IDs dot remove building ID dot warehouse. Okay, so don't allow the warehouse to show first because it's just not an appealing building as a first choice. This can change in the future. So I should write it like this. If so, e.g., because it offers money for items stored, then we could potentially get rid of the special code in this. Yeah, so now let's go test this out. This is a weird thing to test because we want this to not show up first. And there's a 1/3 chance of it showing. So let's try this 6 times. Very scientific. So good. Actually, there's wait a second. It could have shown up that time because we would have had the farm on that time. In fact, I should probably test that it can show up there. But let me do my last 3 attempts. My very scientific way of doing this. Yeah, so far it's been fine. And now let's try one more time. All right, so that tested nothing. Now we're going to test it this way, though. Now the warehouse should be able to show up. And let's see, 40% of the time it should show up. So it did not show up there. It didn't show up there. This might not work because I don't know if we set num perks chosen because of how we generate this for the building. We might not be doing this correctly. In fact, I'm nearly positive we're not doing this correctly. Yeah, we're not doing this correctly. This is always going to be 0, isn't it? Is it? It is 0. Yeah. 4 seconds of content, 1 hour. Going to post after work. Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, I look forward to hearing it. Okay, so town challenge mode functions. This is not what we want, is it? Yeah, I see. Because we just call create farm. Oh, God. All right, we need to do this. We need to do this differently. We need to make a building perk choice out of the farm and then force grant it. Yeah. Well, hey, at least I realized that this is a problem. Okay, so how do we do this? We say force grant perk, and this is going to be the build panel. And we make a new building choice, building ID.farm. And then delete this. Now what's the problem here? Building ID doesn't exist. All right, that should do it. So now we should be able to get the warehouse, and that breakpoint should show us what we want, which I got rid of the breakpoint. Come on, little breakpoint. There we go. Now we click build. It was already 50, so it must have been correct. Yeah. And there's the warehouse. Cool. So offer you just get the software and it's not a subscription option? Yes. Yeah, it's been that way forever. And I think you can even use it for free, but just not save things if you're on the free version. I think it's very reasonable software. Okay, so prevent warehouse as first choice. It's just not a desirable building compared to the other ones. I changed how the farm is built so that it counts in farming specialization so that it counts as a building perk now. Okay. Yeah, I bought it like, I don't know, 15 years ago or something. The other software that is working like that right now, at least, is DaVinci Resolve, although I suspect they're going to change that eventually. But yeah, I just purchased this somewhat recently, and yeah, you just get upgrades for good, at least for right now. They just never officially say that they've guaranteed that. That's why I expect them to go back on it at some point. All right, so this is done. Maybe you should be able to stop a perk from showing. I'm just going to delete that for now. Yeah. I didn't feel like the second run was all that different. Once there are more perks, I think it'll start to show. The specializations do help. Sure. Getting the fishing pond first is very difficult. I started with 3 adventurers, but I just didn't have the potions to get enough fish. Okay, this is a very, very difficult problem to solve. So problem, getting the fishing pond first isn't super helpful because fish cost potions, and potions aren't valuable enough to fuel the pond. So option 1 is say it's too bad, and that's just how it is. Option 2 is if you build the pond early on, maybe we lower the potion value. This would make the pond feel more like the farm, such that both options are kind of the same. They're not really, but they kind of sort of are. It's $500. Wow. I mean, it might be worth it. Maybe it goes on sale. What else can we do here? Option 3, grant some buff that slowly dissipates that addresses this. E.g., the extractor gets a 200% boost to potion conversions, and it drops by 1% per second. Or something, right? I'm just making things up here. I'm not really sure what's best. Because no matter what it is, we need to communicate it to the player. All 3 of these options so far would need that. Maybe we lower the potion value needed is what I meant to write. Grant some buff that slowly dissipates that addresses this. Or just don't offer it first. Don't offer the pond at first. I don't like this idea of buildings kind of following the same progression that the normal game would have followed. Maybe buildings just don't work like this stuff at all. Maybe buildings aren't interesting as purchases and should be part of specializations. So like there's a pond specialization where you start with the pond, but we have a special perk that lowers the cost of fish. Oh man, I don't know. It's just so difficult to come up with. So the idea was this. Here's what I had done. I picked adventuring. So I actually do start with more adventurers than normal. So I have 3, they're all level 2, and I clicked build and I got the fishing pond first. So let's simulate this. It should not take that long to find the fishing pond. It's a 40% chance. So it should happen. There it is. Okay, so yeah, I had the fishing pond. So here's the pond. It starts with 2 fish. So we actually could go and battle right now, and we will get our 20 sludge from these. But first, you can see how long this is taking. Like, these are with my level 2 adventurers. they're taking forever. So that's one problem. And yeah, the other problem is that that's it. Those are the only 2 fish we're going to get for a very long time, because we need, I think, 50 gold worth of potions to get another fish. So, like, let's let them finish this battle. Yeah, so I got 20 sludge. Now let's choose a battle perk. We don't even have any of these adventurers, so let's go with a mage. And then we'll send all of these into their own battles. So you go there. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. You go there, you go there, and you go there. All right, so now we have 3 different battles playing out. I'm going to speed this up. Okay, so look at the time. It is 43 minutes and 45 seconds remaining. And let's wait and see how long it takes before I finally get another fish. We're still at 0. It's been almost a minute. We're still at 0. It's been, yeah, almost, what, 2 minutes or something? I don't know. I'm not like super keeping track of time here. All right, I haven't lost any potions either, and we're still at 0. Still 0. At some point I will have dried. There we go. We got 1 fish. So it took, what, 2.5 minutes to get 1 fish, which is 10 sludge, which isn't even enough to level this up. Oh my god. Hey, Karada. Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a problem. I think it's just not fun. Yeah, so I think this is the only option that we can't go with. This just isn't reasonable. It took me like 2.5 minutes of fighting with 3 adventurers to get 1 fish. And 1 fish doesn't even get you another battle perk. It's just not an early game thing. So we either rebalance this to this early game. It could be done via a perk that you get. It says build the fishing pond and grant like extraction level 2. But then this probably scales even better. I don't know what I want the decision tree to be. I wanted this to originally be an exciting choice of you're offered 5 buildings at first. The farm, the fishing pond, the treasure room, the enchanter, and the... what else? Why am I forgetting what the last one is? Oh god, why? What? This should not be that hard. The warehouse isn't one of them. I have no idea. What am I... The garbage slime. Because they're not really a building. So, put this in quotes. And I can definitely see why you'd want the slime, why you'd want the farm, why you'd want the enchanter. Treasure room is going to cost money. I guess it's going to have the same problem. So yeah, both of those are going to have the same problem. Treasure room will also have this problem. So if this is supposed to be an exciting thing and it's supposed to steer where your run goes, then we need it to be usable. It can't be that you're getting items worth 3 gold and we're like, oh yeah, it's 200 gold to use this thing. Too bad. Go collect 67 potions. That's not fun on a time limit. So option 4 is still appealing. You could just not offer it at first, so that by the time you're able to get it, you have a little bit more earning power. In which case your first choice would just be between the farm, the enchanter, and the garbage slime. But again, does this really feel like a choice at that point? Like there's got to be some enchanter run that goes well. Even that I'm not totally convinced about. I guess I am kind of realizing that buildings are probably not such an interesting choice. All that UI is going to go away. could just offer farm versus enchanter versus garbage slime at first. We could have specializations for all of these. I think it's one of these two things is what I'm leaning toward. I'm just not sure what's better. Because the other problem is this only defers the issue. Suppose you start in a specialization that doesn't give you a building at all, e.g. industry, where you have 5 workers from the start. So now you get offered the treasure room and the fishing pond, and they're both bad. Yeah, so I think we do both. I think we do both as answers. I think we just offer you things that we know you can actually use at first, and then the specializations can cover the rest. So there can be a treasure room spec where you start there, you have the treasure room from the get-go, they cost less, and maybe you can't get the farm. Something like that. That could be maybe a little interesting. So it's like you're only leveling up through the treasure room. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's my conclusion. Conclusion is twofold. Some buildings shouldn't be offered at first. The fishing pond and the treasure room. And some buildings should be part of specializations. E.g., you start with the treasure room but can't build the farm. Start with the treasure room and it's cheaper but can't build the farm. Yeah. All right. All right. Let's write this down. Where are buildings in here? Some buildings are given to you by default. All right, let's clean up this whole section. Rationale. These buildings aren't interesting to build. To have to build. So we just grant them to you. That's where this can go. If you're getting armor, you'll of course want the armor shop. Weapons and potions elites have multiple uses, but even then, for you to pick which shop you would have, it means that you would almost certainly want to change what the extractor and weapon grinder take. Yep. Able to find any weapon type, but you don't have the warehouse. Then workers will wander around forever. And we still differentiate this through perks. And we can allow shops to hold more items than they can in the main game. Or having item stacking per shop. Okay. Next up is some buildings are offered as a choice, but under certain conditions. The warehouse shouldn't be offered as your first building. Rationale, it's just not more desirable than any other building. So it feels like a wasted choice. The fishing pond. Yeah, I'll just write the same thing. Shouldn't be offered as your first building. Rationale, the balance of the game is such that you can't even fuel the pond to make it a worthwhile choice until your income is high enough. And the treasure room is the same as the pond. Reason / rationale is the pond. Okay, so then buildings can be offered as specializations. We could have a specialization for starting with a treasure room, having it be cheaper than normal and preventing you from building the farm. Anything else here? Yeah. Wait, no. That was, I already have this written down, right? Yeah. No. All right. I still think this is a little bit questionable. But yeah, we need to go change the building generator so that you don't get offered this first. So remove the fishing pond. This is just called pond. And the treasure room. The warehouse just isn't desirable as a first choice. And these buildings aren't really usable as a first choice without enough income. Oh, how about that? Just without enough income. So those are our reasons. This is, by the way, perfect use of commenting. We're not saying what this is doing. We're not saying like we remove the warehouse. We're saying why, which would not be obvious through code. Same thing with this. Yeah, you just can't really do anything with the pond or the treasure room. Now, is offering these as a second choice interesting? So now your only first choice is one of three things. It's the garbage slime, which can get you more money. It's the farm, which can get you level ups. And it's the enchanter, which can potentially get you more sales and potentially get you more items. I think starting, oh man, I don't know. I don't think starting with the enchanter is probably interesting. Maybe that's just another playtest question that we had. Where is that? The problem with them not unlocking more building perks incompatible. Didn't I just write that down? Yeah, it is a warehouse. Okay, so starting buildings. So this is, how does it feel to start with the enchanter? Is it an interesting choice? I think there should probably just be an enchanter specialization where you start with the enchanter and it's got some different spells for challenge mode. Yeah. The other thing that I'm not really thinking about too much right now is the long-term plan for this. We only have whatever it is, 9 buildings in the game. Or I guess 12 if you count the shops. We give you like 6 by default. We eventually let you choose the remaining 6. But in the future, we may add like mining or crafting or anything else. And now those could be made as alternative choices at the beginning of the game. But the reason I'm not considering that is because for us to get to this point where we add any systems means that the game was already successful. For it to have been successful means that people must have liked this mode already, which means we could still add buildings, but it's not going to solve a problem necessarily. It's just going to add more content. So yeah, let's try to get this to work. All right, so after you get this is your first choice. Now your second choice can be any of these other things. So you might get your first choice as the farm and you're like, cool, my run's going great. And then you get offered all 3 of these as your second choice. And you're like, oh man, I don't want any of them. Like maybe the treasure room is a late game thing. We'd have to just rebalance it. If you can't afford 150 gold per treasure chest, or you can't get the perks. Ugh, yuck. I don't know. Let's leave it at that. Yeah. Stop offering the pond or treasure room early. They can't be your first perk choice. because they rely on you having enough income. You know, I just realized I don't even have YouTube chat open right now. What happened to that? Huh. Am I even streaming on YouTube right now? Normally no one says anything anyway. Yeah, I'm live. And there's chat. Pop out. Done. Okay. All right, back to the to-do list. So getting the fishing pond is very difficult, so we're done with this. Expanding the shops isn't that interesting. Maybe you should expand all storage at the same time. I think this is because item stacking is too good. We could split it per shop and possibly even per item display. I think we need to remove item stacking from the list of possible perks until we can balance it. And I don't know how we're going to want to change this for shops exactly. Because spending your money on getting 2 more shop slots is not as interesting as just getting the garbage slime or something, probably. And expanding all your storage at once is also probably not that great. Like, we probably just need to give you more items. All right, well, let's go to all instance data then. And let's change it so that instead of getting 0 to 1 of each item, oh, what is it? It's 0 to 1, 0 to 1, and 0 to 2. That's 0 to 4 items total. But the chances are you're getting 0.5 plus 0.5 plus 1 on average. So you need 2 items on average for a total of 6G. So we have 2 options here. It's either increase the minimum number or increase the maximum number. We could do both, of course, but if you got very lucky and you got 5 items at once, is that interesting? I think it is. I think we should increase the maximum. So let's set this to 2 and this to 2. So now it's an average of 3 items for an average of 9 gold. And I wonder if that should go even higher than this. Like we even give you a 3rd potion potentially. And then if you have the enchanter, you could double all of these. So you could get 14 items out of this. And that way, the specialization for getting more workers feels good. I don't know. Let's just try that. I think it's better to have more loot than less loot. But yeah, I think item stacking needs to be cut out. So in the town generator, we have item stacking. I think we just cut this out. Put this back in at some point. But I'm not going to worry about that in phase 1. Add item stacking back to the game. We should probably split it per shop. It's just super powerful if you unlock it early. It trivializes shop storage, getting the warehouse, worker count, worker speed, customer count, customer speed, and yeah, even more. Garbage slime. Yeah, I'll just remove that for now. Remove item stacking from challenge mode for now. This is temporary. It's just too impactful for us to offer it right now. It could be rare, or it could be that you start with it. Could be a specialization, or it could be rare if we want to go those routes. But I think rebalancing is the best. Increase number of items from challenge mode forest. All right, what's next? Expanding the shops isn't that interesting. All right, we got rid of item stacking. Hey, Marco. Always interested about how is game balance created? Did you consider creating some kind of math model for your game economy? Something like a root config place for all the things? So I've talked about this a little bit before, and it's kind of a broad topic because there's balance in any individual system, but that balance probably doesn't exist in a vacuum. So there's balance across the systems. So as a simple example here, items have a cost. So let's say we give you a potion and it's 3 gold, and then we give you a quantity of potions. So how many potions drop at once? And maybe we say it's, 1 to 2 potions. So like, cool, this can be your starting point and you can make this work probably. But now we need to consider in Skeleseller itself, it's like, it says I failed. Okay, so in Skeleseller, we also have a specific shop type, and you can only hold so many potions. Your workers need to be able to move the potions there. There's a time limit on when those potions disappear. There are other systems that can use those potions, like the garbage slime and the farm and the fishing pond. Then the tavern might want them for workers. So now, how does this balance work? Some of these don't even care about the gold cost. Like if you're putting it for a quest, the cost doesn't matter. And the number you get affects how many workers you might need for it, or how much you're manually dragging, or how much you might value improving worker speed. So how do you do all this in the end? And I think your end result for game balancing is it should feel good. And that generally means that it's fun. And in a competitive game, it might also mean that it feels good for the player base as a whole. So your math models can only tell you so much. Like, yes, this should take six trips to the shop, and you should expect yourself to have 6 trips to the shop by the mid game. And if we tweak this formula, then we need to go change a bunch of other things as a result. But I think it's very hard to come up with that stuff. And then anytime you have a new system, you need to evaluate what does it change. I guess kind of a similar example in real life is my wife and I were looking at credit cards, and they all have some benefits that they give you. This is maybe a very US thing, I don't know. And some of the benefits are things that you might not be able to put a dollar value on. So let's say they gave you like Netflix for free. You could say, okay, that costs whatever, I don't know, $18 per month. So that's worth $18 per month. And we already had a subscription, so we're just saving that money. And some other things might be like you get 20% off at a restaurant. Well, that does have a dollar amount, but do you go to that restaurant? Would you have used this anyway? Are you induced into using it because of the perk? So it's like these things are harder to evaluate, such that if you were to make a math formula, it'd be hard to say like, oh, how much is this valued at? Yeah, there's a monetary cost, but it's a percentage. So I think it's kind of the same thing for game balancing. There are a lot of different levers you can tweak, and even knowing which ones you should tweak is difficult. Sorry, the cat is meowing outside the door, so I figured I'd open it. I don't know if she's going to come in. Hey, Grace, it's going pretty well. We're making progress. All right, need to make sure that you don't just beat a low-level instance in a very short amount of time. I mean, I don't think this is something we need to think about too much right now. I think what this means, though, is when we do get to balancing, that we need the newer locations to be valuable for you to go to, which means we need to think of how much they should go up for each percentage. We need each location to have some plus X% growth for items. The quantity should go up and the value should go up. Works on EVE Online. For your exact project, is it okay to use these settings across the instances and not in one place? Yeah, so I've heard of economists helping out for large games, typically MMOs like EVE. And I think they're like, I don't know how they're figuring this stuff out or how they're balancing it alongside, like, here's how much damage you should be doing to monsters so that you get these items fast enough so that it feels like it's worthwhile. Is it okay to use these settings across the instances and not in one place? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Like, we have each system. So for example, the instances that we have, that's where we define enemy data and drop data. And both of these are related. If you think about it, each instance is really an abstraction over gold per minute. And like, it's a pretty intense abstraction because it's actually items per minute. So if you were to, let's say you increase bat health by 100%, you're actually cutting your item production down by 50%. Yeah. Because now you're killing everything it takes you twice as long So you're actually just getting less money. And that's where it's like each little system can affect any other system in the game. So yeah, I think it's very difficult. And then the final thing I'll talk about here is games shouldn't have perfect balance. The imbalances sometimes are interesting, or they should be like asymmetrically balanced. So if you consider just a classic like melee versus range versus caster types, like melee is probably going to do a lot more damage than the other ones because you have to get close to the enemies. Range is probably going to have a lot less life than the melee character because you can be shooting from a distance. And a caster might have some, whatever resource that they have to manage, or maybe they're a more difficult class or something like that. It's like those are all asymmetrical. And as a result, they'll be balanced against different things, maybe even amongst each other. So yeah, it's hard to figure out what to do. So they're in their own way a starting point for all balancing configuration, I see. Yeah. And in general, the way that we performed balance for the existing game was I tried to see how long does it take to do individual things in the game. So for example, people start and they start their battle and they're winning some battles, and then they unlock the town hall pretty early on so that they can learn how perks work, and then unlock auto battling so they don't need to keep manually clicking. That costs a total of 20 gold. That number is arbitrary, but how long should it take you to get that 20 gold? Like less than 2 minutes, because auto battling is pretty important. And it makes you feel that sense of progress of like, oh, I just got this thing that is now automating a task I didn't want to have to do the rest of the game. So now we want to make sure that your next adventure is after that. So we made it cost 35 so that it's about double the price, so that you want to get that other stuff first. But we also give you the freedom to do it in whatever order you want. So now if you pick a bad order, how much does that set you back? So yeah, there are a lot of considerations. And it's just this never-ending web of stuff that makes balancing difficult, and probably I don't know, we're going to want more tools, and it's going to be hard to make the tools. So playtest realizations, I think we wrote all this stuff down, yeah. So this stuff's done now. Maybe I should start to put like a finish to do tab so that this is not gigantic. Yeah, I'll rename this to archived to do. And yeah, let's put all the phase 1 stuff up here, because I'm kind of sick of having all of this on the list. There. Okay, then let's take the header back. Okay, so now the list is only 11 pages long. That's a manageable to-do list. Oh, man. All right, so get the treasure room working. Let's still maybe save that toward the end, I think. Unlock every location from the get-go. Did I do that already? I don't recall if I did that. If I start a new challenge mode game, what happens? Yeah, they're not unlocked from the beginning. I mean, I can right-click this and it unlocks them all. And it tells you what all the loot is. Well, I don't want you to have to figure that out. I think just going to the forest from the get-go is probably important. Although, do I want you to do this? I don't know. What's manageable about 11 pages? It's more manageable than what used to be there, because the stuff I just removed was a total of 14 pages. That's all the stuff we've done. By the way, this took about a week to do 14 pages of stuff. So I don't think it's going to take just a week to do this amount of stuff, because there's a lot of different tasks there, but yeah, still. All right, yeah, I think the treasure room is good, although I also had this up here. This won't let you be elites, but I think it's okay. Alternatively, set them to 0 and then remove auto win from the ogre battle. Repeating boss battles is actually interesting. It's just we're probably going to change how all this works anyway, so I don't think it's worth balancing. So what was my rationale for this? I wish I'd written that down. I probably did. Unlock. figure out which ones are beatable or which drop the best things in order to prioritize the build. Is it fun? Probably not. You do one battle each location to figure out the drops and you figure out what to prioritize. Okay, this was for a different reason back then. Let's scroll down to the bottom of this. If you feel like you have a strong party, you should probably be able to go to any arbitrary location. Yeah, that was the rationale. 3D printed keyboard. Fair sweep corn. It's a corn keyboard. There we go. Yeah. Also, welcome in productivity. Does anyone know if you have to have your game name set in stone when creating a Steam page? Can that change? I don't know what the answer to that is, but you should be able to find it in their documentation. Yeah, I didn't want you to have to wait on having more money. I think we need to bundle this into the design. Yeesh. Locations. Should be roughly one level higher than the prior. Boss should be randomized. Should probably randomize enemy sprites. And you shouldn't have to unlock locations. Rationale. If you have a strong battle party, I don't want you to have to wait for money to come in for you to be able to take on stronger areas. What's DH? It puts D and H on the pointer fingers on the bottom row, whereas I think regular Colmac puts them somewhere else. I don't know where the regular Colmac thing puts them. Oh, it puts them on the home row. So yeah, it's downward movement instead of inward movement. You can kind of see it in this key map, by the way, if you scroll down to here. So D and H are in the pointer finger resting position, just one row down. But I never used regular Colmac, so I don't know what it would have felt like to have them here and here. But yeah, I don't know. It seems like it's fine for me. Now, what's kind of interesting is I have a paste key set here. So if I copy something, I can paste it by pressing this key. This is actually the D key. So it's still Command V to paste. But I bound a special key in my navigation layer that's on D because that's where V normally is. And I wanted it to work in my muscle memory. All right, so this part is not controversial. I think this part's easy enough. I think the controversial thing here is what do we do about elite monsters? Because the ogre drops ogre blood, which is worth 100 gold. So we have a lot of little considerations. One, should you even have boss battles? I think that was the first question, and I think the answer is yes. And then two, should the rewards change? And like, I don't know, but the important thing is that they're still worthwhile, so that you want to do that boss battle. 100 gold might feel like too much, though. You words per minute test? No, sorry. Kind of a meme on this channel that I'm never going to do one that people actually care about. But you can see me type on a piano if you want to. Yeah, so for them to be worthwhile, yeah, then I guess we'll make it since you can battle these. Did I write about bosses in here? Did I? Bosses should be randomized. So I'll say rationale. Bosses exist so that you can strategize about when to fight them. And their rewards need to be enticing enough so that it feels like it was worthwhile. Yeah. Okay, so then here's what I have learned. We need to find wherever I unlock all the locations. No, it's not done through here. It's done through the battle map. What's it called? Battle panel? Yeah, unlock. Aha, there it is. So calls into this and sets highest elite levels defeated to be 1. All right, we want to set this as 0, I guess, which means it's unlocked, but you've never beaten them. Track how many times you've beaten the bosses or make it a requirement. A requirement to win? Because I wanted there to be multiple ways for you to beat challenge mode, and that means that having money be the objective would let it be that you could get it through loot, you could get it through if we ever have any perks that just like give you gold, you could do it through that. Maybe battling could earn you money eventually. So I want to do this, but I want to have a way to set this to 0. Let's try it. If we do just set this to 0 right now, does that work? I want the location to be unlocked, but for you to be able to fight there still. But then we need to change the ogre so that they don't just, so you don't always win. So we go over to this, we click this. Can we fight here now? We can. We're going to die. But let's send in another adventurer and then we can't die. So mage and rogue. And then speed this up. And I think it should be impossible for them to lose. Yeah, so we won. Now we can't repeat it. Yeah, okay. So I think that's what we want to do. Yeah. Yeah. Being able to fight them again would probably be interesting, but it would need to be balanced. Yeah, I'll write that down in phase 2 maybe. Allow for fighting bosses again. We maybe don't want to scale their stats as much as we do in the base game. And we would almost certainly need to have them provide an extra copy of their loot. Rationale is it adds another layer of strategy to where you're fighting. Although, on the flip side... No, this is stupid. This is stupid. We're going to change how bosses work. Yeah, let's leave that as is. In fact, I'll write that over here. You shouldn't be able to repeat boss battles. Rationale is we're probably changing how bosses show up. See this? Such that we may end up throwing out this work. So wait for that to be done first. Okay. Yeah. All right, let's go back to phase 1 over here. So all we need to do for this is call into this function, but allow us to specify which level. Why even do that though? Why don't we just set this to 0? Yeah, there. Now what's the problem? This is called debug unlock all instances. But it's not really a debug function anymore, is it? It marks that you've beaten them. I don't know about that part. Maybe we do want to change this. Public void unlock all instances. So we do this, but we don't do that, and we set this to 0. We don't even need to do anything then. Isn't it just that? I think it is. Okay, let's try it. Town challenge mode functions. We'll go into here, and we need to get the UI battle panel map. Okay, does it work? I will be quite curious. No, I broke something. Wait. Oh, M. I'm pressing the wrong key. Okay, so it says beat once to reveal rewards, but we can go wherever we want. Yes, and if we win there, Now the rewards show up. Yeah. Interesting. And we can fight the bosses. And if we win there, it breaks. Why does it break? No, not found, none point. Okay, why? The instance ID is none. Something's got the wrong. It's only printed once, right? Yeah. Create route if unlocked. Unlock next location, next instance ID. I see. There might not be a next instance ID if we forced everything to be unlocked. So we could just stop this thing from trying to do anything if none is passed in. What is that? 264. Get node or null. That's set filled in. Get map marker. This doesn't return null. Why not? Huh. Why don't we just do that then? Update tooltip. Set is unlocked. Get map marker point. Initialize map marker. That one's fine. Why do we have instance ID.none? Because of how record structs work, you can't get a null record struct. Or wait, no, sorry. Because of how enumerations work. You can't have a null enumeration. It's just the default value, I'm pretty sure. There's something like that, or you need to, I don't know. There's some like weird casting you need to do where you need to check if this thing is the enumeration and then get its value. Also, when it comes to saving, you might not have chosen something. I might have this written down on my C# notes. Yeah, it's essentially this. There's something about first or default. That's part of it. It's just that the default value of a null enumeration is its 0 value. So we could have this thing return a nullable map marker. And everywhere that I looked at so far looks like it'll work. Except for that. I wonder where that gets called from though. Get map marker dot position. Initialize camera. That should be fine. That should be fine. Next instance marker position. What is this used for? Yeah, I think we should stop this earlier on then. Hey, PJ. Any suggestion on how to become a senior engineer? You mean how to get a senior engineer job or how to just like get your skills to the level of a senior engineer? Because I think the part about the skills is it's gain more independence and gain more impact. It's generally what I would say. And if it's a job, then it's a whole other can of worms of like apply and network and whatever else. But yeah, the more independence at the companies I've been at, the track to senior is generally, are you managing things yourself? And are you producing an amount of code that's a high enough quality to say that you deserve to be senior? That's pretty much how it's worked. So if you think of a junior engineer, like they don't have these things. Someone else is typically telling them what to do. They're typically scoping their work. Their impact is pretty low because the work is scoped small enough. So senior is just increasing all of that stuff. Create route. Okay, where do we want to start this thing from? Update instance unlock status. Create route if unlocked. Update instance tooltip. This stuff is fine. It's the next place that's not going to be fine. Use instance ID. Create route. Let's just put a breakpoint here. Yeah, let's just put a breakpoint here. It'll probably be easier to figure out through this. It's like taking more responsibility and ownership. Yeah, I mean that's essentially it, but it's also delivering on that stuff on your own. maybe you might say some part of seniority is delegating to other people, but you typically don't have that opportunity before you're senior. Okay, so actually this is fine. I don't care about this. I care about it once we beat the canyon. So we click here and then click start and then win. And now this is none. Yeah. So where does this come from? Because that's what we got to do. Next instance ID, here it is. So if next instance ID is none, then we just bail out pretty much. And then what do we have? Get previous instance ID. So so if it's not equal to none, then do this stuff. So now that's not going to be a problem anymore. Now let's rerun this. And then previous instance ID. I'm not certain if that's even needed. What does that say? Oh, interesting. So do waves show up when you hover over these now? They do. Yeah, that's fine. So now what if we beat this? Okay, it's still broke, but now I'm broken in a different place. 216. Get map marker. Okay, so then let's set the breakpoint there. Return to title, go into challenge mode. Set a line on 216. Open up the map, click that. All right, so where's this coming from? This is none, I'm guessing? Yeah. This is next instance ID still. What is this thing doing? Yeah, I think we just put this up here. I don't think the order should matter. Select and center on location. Set selected ID. And what does this do? Update unlock status. Create route. Update instance tooltip. Yeah, I gotta test that. Hopefully it works. So let's try it again. We should not see anything go wrong this time. But then I also need to test in regular mode what happens when you beat the first instance that has waves. So I click this, I click that, I win. Now we can't repeat this, that's fine. It does say that we've done it. Cool, so now let's try beating the Inferno, for example. Yep, that's showing. Let's try beating this. All right, yeah, looking good. Then we got to go into regular mode. And we got to make sure waves do not show up on any of these until you've beaten something that actually has waves. So we beat the first one. It's going to take a little while. Waves don't show up. We beat this one. We beat the next one. That's what I was saying. This is going to take some time. We unlock the next location. We still have not found anything with waves yet. We beat the dragon. And now we see waves. Yeah. Perfect. Was it crashing because you never clicked unlock on the canyon? It was crashing because we never beat the canyon to unlock the next thing. So the next instance ID was set to nothing, which it was then trying to like select and do a bunch of stuff for. Laxton, thanks for the resub. Welcome back. Happy 13 months. All right. So we now unlock all locations by default, and you can fight the bosses if you want. This is not sufficient yet because there's one tiny problem. We have... Where's the ogre attack? Here it is. This ability, the ogre attack, the ogre doesn't do anything if your party's about to die because it has no idea that or whether or not you're in challenge mode. And we have the town here. So we could get that we're in challenge mode. Okay, well let's just write a function for that then. Public bool is challenge mode is town.gameplay mode.is challenge mode. Okay, now we call that from here. So if the battle is level 1 and you have at least 2 adventurers and you're not in battle mode or challenge mode. I don't know what I just said. I think it's a battle mode. Yeah, there. So now there's no guarantee you win this fight. And I think we can test this by sending in maybe the cleric and I don't know, the paladin. I don't even know if they would lose. Unlock adventurers. Yeah, let's try cleric and paladin. They sound like they'd be bad. It might take a long time, but let's speed it up. So do they lose? Oh yeah, they definitely lose. Yeah, nothing stops you from losing there. But if I do the exact same thing in regular mode, you cannot lose. Cleric, paladin. We got to beat the forest first. But now we unlock the canyon, and even though they should die, they won't, and it'll just take absolutely forever. So the ogre can only kill one of these adventurers. Yeah. And they'll never kill the second one. Very interesting. Okay, cool. That works. Why is this? A property should not follow a method. Ugh. Yuck. I guess we put this here. Yeah. All right. Any other problems here? No, that's pretty much it. Okay, yeah. So unlock all locations by default in challenge mode. I also made it so that you're not guaranteed to beat the ogre just by having 2 party members. We should probably make the ogre stronger. Yeah, we might need to do that. There's one other thing I needed to write for this, though. What is it? Oh, yeah, why? The reason yeah. Rationale, you shouldn't have to spend money to unlock locations if you have a strong battle party. All right. How difficult is the ogre to beat now? So this is what I want to test because I think this will trivialize the game a little bit, and I don't want to trivialize the game. If you are in adventurer specialization, so I click this, and then we just send the 2 strongest adventurers in the fight, do they win every time? Because if they do, then this is a problem, I think. Because then in adventurer specialization, you would just do this first. You'd probably win almost every single time. Yeah, it looks like we're going to win. Speed this up. Maybe we won't. Yeah, we won. Yeah, so your very first battle, you get 100 gold. Like, it hasn't even been a minute. And now I can buy a ton of stuff. I could hire another adventurer. I could get some town perks. I could build a building. Although maybe that's what adventurer specialization lets you do. You can't do that in regular mode. If you try farming mode and you try to do that, you don't even have another adventurer. Well, I guess you could hire another adventurer. But the odds of you being able to win are probably pretty slim. Actually, it's probably 0 because I have a cleric. But there's probably a set of 2 adventurers that could do this. Oh, wait, even they could. Yeah, that's probably an issue. I don't think that's okay. Maybe we just make the ogre do more damage in challenge mode. Yeah, I think we probably have to. Because like I said, otherwise that's the best possible decision you can always make. What happened to the potion? What did happen to the potion? I have 25 gold, but it says I got a potion. Oh, they put it in the farm. Oh, right. That's why we planted all these crops. And no matter how many they take, there's going to be more for quite a while because it was 100 gold worth of crops. Yeah. There's an alternative we could do, which is lower the cost of this, lower the value of this item. But I still think having to fight in this battle is not fun or interesting. So I think we should just raise the power of the ogre. I don't think we have a way of doing this. No, we don't. There is a way we can kind of do this, though, but it's sort of cheating. We could change it so that the canyon uses a challenge mode ogre. And then we just make a totally different enemy. So where's the ogre? Yeah, so we do challenge mode ogre. All right, we got to have that be an ID. These don't get saved, yeah, huh? Okay, well, let's put it down next to this one. And then instead of you having 25 attack, you have 35 attack and maybe a little bit more life. So now I think it should be impossible for any set of level 1 adventurers to beat the ogre. Oh, I just made up some numbers. But yeah, let's try it out. So let's send in these two and send in... Actually, this is kind of cheating. We can send in multiple here. Witch Doctor and Archer. All right, can any of these win? Speed it up. None of those can. The Witch Doctor and the Archer came pretty close, though. I wonder if Witch Doctor and Cleric could do it. Let's try Spirit Caller and Golem. Let's try Archer, and none of these are going to help. Yeah, none of them are going to be able to win. Let's try that. All right, are they coming close? Nope. So the Archer is really, really good. If any of them can win, it's the Archer and somebody. I just don't know who. Archer and Golem? Let's close out these other ones. And speed this up. No. Archer and Rogue? No. It wouldn't be a guarantee. So it's possible the Archer and the Mage could win, for example. But that it's a very, very rare chance. Oh, they did win. Wow. Yeah, so that's probably an issue. Then again, I don't know. Maybe you get the Archer and the Mage, and you're just like, oh, well, I know that at level 1 they can beat the Ogre, so let's go fight them immediately. There's some amount of strategy to be made there. Or to get these two characters so that you could fight and win the battle early on. But whatever, that's good enough for now. Yeah. Okay, so increase difficulty of challenge mode Ogre. As long as you can't do it every run. Well, so now this brings up the question of what happens if you're in adventuring mode, where you start with adventurers that are level 2. Being level 2 doesn't necessarily mean they're super powerful. Like here we got 19 health. We got 9% haste, 5% lifesteal, and 3 thorns damage. Here we got more power, more health, more dodge, and return damage. And here we got more healing received, which isn't going to help them at all. More power, more health, and every time you kill an enemy, you get a zombie, which also isn't going to matter. So if we were to just go into the Ogre battle, which is the name of another video game, and try these two characters, I guess, they'll probably lose. Barely. Wow, look at that. They had hardly any life left. So they could probably win. That time, there was a little bit more life left. It all comes down to how many zombies are taking hits. Because if the zombies take all of the hits, then I think the team can win. Yeah, anyway. Okay, so this is not really working. If we just start a new game, though, we'll get different adventurers with different stats and stuff. Yeah, so now we have the Archer and Witch Doctor. I bet they could win. Did they get good abilities? They didn't get any abilities. They got more healing received, which is pointless. They got more power, which is really good. This one got dodge chance. Okay, let's try it out. Yeah, they won. So the Archer's overpowered. That's fine. I didn't want players to feel like they had to rush to the canyon at first to get a free 100G. Okay. So unlock everything from the get-go. Done. Get the treasure room working, or else you won't have as much to spend gold on. Change the loot that drops. Then some balance stuff, some tracking stuff, gauge the fun. Okay, we're in good shape so far. I got to take a bit of a break. Why did I turn this off for now? Just because it wasn't balanced, I think. So there was no reason to purchase it. Yeah. This is a matter of re-enabling it and then balancing everything so that it actually makes sense to unlock. Problem is that I never balanced anything for the main game mode. So I'm not totally sure how this is going to work. It makes battle perks useless. It gives too much power. It can't be useless. They're two different costs entirely, right? So a battle perk might cost you, well, yeah, they cost sludge, whereas treasure chests cost money. So there's got to be some amount of balance we can apply to this such that the treasure room is just, it's like a nice thing you can do that's now going to make it so that it's harder to get money, I guess. I guess you can go to later locations. Anyway, that's what balance is about, right? So yeah, we do need to balance this. And you also can't get the treasure room as your first building. So your cost even to just getting it is 75 gold. But yeah, the reason why the treasure room is really, really bad so far in challenge mode is it's very perk oriented. The treasure room actually does basically nothing for you in challenge mode. In fact, I can show you this because you might have to see it to believe it. Building ID dot treasure room. Yeah, so we do this. Town dot treasure room is null. Okay, so check this out. Here's how bad the treasure room is right now. And it's really bad in challenge mode. So for one, to even build it, we need to get another building first. So let's get this. Let's grant ourselves a bunch of money, which we wouldn't be able to do. So now we have a ton of money. But if we didn't, we need 150 gold to even purchase a chest. And if you don't have any keys, it takes 10 minutes out of your 45 minutes you have. So like you need keys. But now here's where the problem comes in. Even if you have a bunch of weapons to get keys. So let's say I gotta fix that bug. Are there any valuable weapons we can get here? There's a fire sword. I can't grab just the fire sword. All right, whatever. Let's put that over there. Okay, let's keep putting these in until we finally... I'll grab more items. There's a sword that'll help. Okay, so we finally now have some keys. So this key does nothing for us. This just makes it open sooner. And this key will give us a higher quantity. So even after getting like 200 gold worth of keys and 150 gold worth of a treasure chest, we still have 5 minutes remaining on this. So let's say we just force this thing to open. Now we get 2 items out of it. And then our workers need to bring it way over here. And all of that was for one power and 10 health. It's just not worth it right now. You just farm for quick weapon drops. But it doesn't become bad. This is what I'm saying. In order, like, if we just spam random keys out of here, we're going to get a lot of bad keys. You need the town perk that says give you special keys more often. But you can't get this town perk to show up sooner. You just have to get lucky to find this. If you don't find this, then only 1/5 of the time will you actually get good keys. And again, this is like you had to make it to the deep forest in the first place, which if you could make it to the deep forest, you might not even really need treasure chests too much at that point. So it is a balance issue. We've got to work on this stuff. We got to figure out what's the best way to do this. And I think for challenge mode, it probably means like maybe buffing this a little bit more so that the base chance is not 20%. Maybe it's 40%. I'm not totally sure yet. Are there enough perks where you can flood yourself with item drops and not have a way to utilize them? Then chests would be a huge boon. I'm not sure. we haven't, like, every time I play test this, we get a little bit farther, but then we realize, like, oh yeah, this thing's broken or this needs to be done. So there are two things that are related but not the same: fun and balance. The fun wasn't even there yet without even paying attention to the balance. I feel like specializations helped a lot to make you feel like you're choosing something from the get-go. But I think there are other things along these lines we're going to have to do. And then balance obviously needs to be there for the fun to be fully drawn out of this. But yeah, so we got to work on some of that. Anyway, I'm going to take a quick break. This might be a little bit longer than normal because I want to pop some food in the oven so that when I have my lunch break, I can actually eat food. So I'll be back in just a little bit. Is it jump time? It's jump time. Okay, sorry about the extra delay. Like I said, I had to pop something in the oven and cover it in foil and everything. So, um, I should probably I should add a timer. Let me write this down over here. Close the game. Okay. Um, check oven at 12:12. Probably just take lunch at that time. Yeah. So it just someone try to remind me an hour from now that it's probably lunchtime. Okay, I just heard the oven beep, which means it's an hour from right this minute. It must have preheated. All right. What's on my clipboard? Oh yeah, this. So yeah, Darkstorm. I don't know what the amount of money is going to be, but yeah, the objective is get X gold, and right now X is set to 50,000, but that's just made up. And the reason being, so yeah, you see this up here, gold 0%. The target is 5,000 or 50,000. The reason for this is that you could potentially have like optimized for items. Maybe you get a lot of items, maybe you don't. Maybe there's a way of getting them through, getting gold through battles, or like, I don't know, selling crops or something. So I figured if everything in the game's already steering toward money, that should be the goal. The other thought was, oh, what if it was like you beat the final location? But then I thought, well, what if you could just get all the money you ever want from the first few locations? And it's sort of like how there are pacifist runs in some games where it's like you don't need to use every tool available to you in the game, but you can still complete it somehow. And that's at least what the motivation was for making it be money. Terminal integrated suggest enabled is nice. Terminal integrated. Enables terminal intelligence send suggestion. Huh. All right, let's turn that on. I don't ever use the built-in terminal though. How do we... I'm a little worried what this can do. What's even something I would want to do? Let's try grep. Custom features. I mean, this stuff's pretty cool. Or git maybe? Git add dash. Yeah, anyway, there's some neat stuff there. That might make it more appealing to use the terminal in VS Code. Which I just always went to this because it's like iCode or iTerm is pretty nice. Where do we leave off with this? Get the treasure room working? Yeah. All right, so I guess let's do this. This is bricklaying. We're gonna actually get this working. So there are a lot of difficult aspects to this. And I wrote some of them down. Treasure chests need to open faster. Treasure chests should take less time to open, which means fewer items from each chest because there's less time to use keys. Just to open the terminal and use Vim from there. What? Yeah, get it working or else. Yo, please. Oh, this is such a difficult task. It is just so difficult. Because okay, let's write everything down. We have the treasure room. So merely unlocking this takes something, but let's just say that's figured out. So now it costs gold to purchase a chest. The chest has a starting time, 10 minutes. Keys subtract 1 minute. Keys can add or like modify the loot in the chest. In the main game, because 10m divided by 1m equals 10, it means you can use 10 keys to modify the chest's loot. Which means you can potentially get quite a lot. and rare keys don't always show up, you can't prioritize getting the rare key perk. Well, you can't force getting the rare key perk. It's a 1 divided by X chance, where X is the total number of perks you haven't gotten. And then the loot from the chest can be changed. And the loot required for level ups can be changed. And then the level ups can give different stats. So we have like 8 different things we can modify here. And it's hard to figure out where we should even start. So this idea that in the regular mode that you might just sit around and in 10 minutes get an item, yeah, sure, that's possible. But the amount of time you'd probably play the game and have treasure chests is maybe like 2.5 hours. You may have like 2.5 hours in the base game to mess around with treasure chests. In challenge mode, you may only have like 35 minutes. So it's about 20% the amount of time. And you might say, well, then why not make this take 2 minutes to open? And at 2 minutes, there's just not a lot of time to use keys. And keys are less of a purpose at that point. It's like, yeah, you could lower the amount of time by a minute or 30 seconds, but is it really important when it's already going to open in 2 minutes? How do you get them? You spend money. So this fifth line here, costs gold to purchase a chest. So yeah, the weird thing is that keys are absolutely necessary. Maybe we only let you get rare keys in this case. Both for lowering the time and for increasing the loot. Yeah, I guess regular keys have no purpose in challenge mode. So maybe we get rid of them. Yeah, that's probably the most reasonable thing. We get rid of regular keys completely. You can only find special keys. And then we maybe add in a new perk that says you can start with a chest having a special key applied to it randomly, but not a skeleton key. Add challenge mode only. Perk. A chest can start with a non-skeleton special key applied to it. Or maybe with X. Non-skeleton special keys applied to it. The keys could just give you a free chest, and certain keys could come with better chests. Then you can have your time chest on top of that. Well, wait, so I think, are you familiar with the treasure room? Because let me show this for everybody so that we can all be on the same page here. So the way, this is regular mode right now. The way that this works is you would have to build the treasure room, which does nothing on its own. You then have to do more stuff. And you'd have to build the key grinder. So the way this worked is you would put in weapons and it would grind them into keys. So if we let our workers come up here, they needed to put in, I think, 50 gold worth of weapons. So like we just got a key. And then keys had special effects. So this one is a regular key. It's just open the chest sooner. But this one is open it sooner and increase the quantity of items in it. So now you would buy a treasure chest. And now you could put this key inside. So now it has one cloak. If I put this key in it, it now has 2 cloaks. If I keep giving myself random keys, I could give it, so now it's 3 cloaks. And now these are just going to lower the time. And this is going to increase one more item type. So I put this key inside of it. Now it's 3 cloaks and 3 fire rods. And if I keep doing this, like this one is the multiplier. So now it's 6 cloaks and 6 fire rods. And we do that one more time, and it is now 9 cloaks and 9 fire rods. And we can do this one and get 12. So now when we open this, we get 24 items out of it. And these can be used to power up your adventurers by bringing them to the guild. So now these items pop out of it, or we're slowly walking over to the guild with this. They're probably, some of them are going to disappear. But like our mage, for example, when we get this here, it's like we just hit level 2 for guild supplies. And now we're at level 3. So we're getting stats by bringing these. That's how all of this stuff works. So you are buying a chest. You're then using weapons to get keys. You're using the keys to open the chest, but you're also modifying the loot in the chest when you do that. And then there are some perks over here which probably are not as appealing. In fact, I think something like auto purchasing or auto opening is going to be even less appealing. So I need to think about like, what's the point of this system? And there are a couple different things you could optimize for here. Maybe you're opening lots of chests and they're not having a lot of loot in them. Maybe you're not opening a lot of chests, but they're having tons of loot in each one. Have you scoped out yet the minimum requirement needed to win? More specifically, what income is needed? Excuse me, what amount of DPS is needed to generate those items? Wondering how many perks from the chest will feel like it makes a difference. No, because I think they're going to be perks we haven't even added yet. So imagine something like plus 30% money from potion sales. Imagine you get this, and imagine it's got other levels too. So you can get plus 60% and then plus 90%. And you get these 3 perks, and you're like, oh my God, I don't even need to battle in the places with weapons and armors. Like, I should just be selling potions. So you send all your adventurers to like some potion heavy area, and that's it. You can ignore the treasure system. You don't even need to level up anymore. Like, maybe that's how one of your runs works. And in another run, you don't get any of these perks, and instead you're like, oh man, I need like higher levels to do battles faster. So I'm not sure how this balance is going to work out yet. If you get the perk, it could be a big upgrade. Well, yeah. So that is possible. We could have the higher chance. I mean, we could just grant you one of these by default. Like, could start you at level 1 or level 2. But yeah, I don't think the regular keys are interesting. Like they're actively bad for you. I think we should just get rid of them. So things I want to do: get rid of regular keys. Dragging the keys over across the screen seems like a lot of work. Might want to put a key bag next to the chest. There's a quick move menu that you can unlock. At least for base mode, you would get this. For challenge mode, I'm not sure what we're going to do. Oh, wait, no, sorry. That's not a thing. You can't use a quick move menu for this because we don't know what chest you want to put it in. But you can drag it to just the room itself, and it'll put it in the closest place. And your skeletons can bring it. But yeah, eventually this is going to be, the treasure room is going to be a little bit lower on the screen. And we can move the key grinder too. They open the chest more quickly, right? They do, but I don't think in challenge mode that's beneficial at all. In the main game, it might be beneficial because you're potentially waiting 10 minutes. But in challenge mode, you'd never be expected to wait 10 minutes. And getting 1 item or 2 items out of this is like, it's just not even worth it. So I kind of feel like what we should do is, yeah, get rid of regular keys, maybe set the time on chests to be 5 minutes. Lower the purchase costs for chests. Even that I'm not sure about. Lowering the purchase cost could just make it so that you're always affording treasure chests. This isn't going to work. Perk to make chests free. Yeah, I think we do need to approach one of these earlier ideas that I had. Let's just copy all this into the scratch bit here. Hey, Juicebox Hero. All right, so treasure room balancing. Okay, so we'll just write some levers here. And another problem we're going to have is that you can get the treasure room before you can really afford anything. And it's the same issue that I came up with before. Whoops. You can't see what I just did, but I accidentally zoomed on the audio. So option 1 is we lower the costs if you unlock this early. Option 2 is we temporarily lower the cost, e.g. via a timed buff. like plus or like minus 100 or 80% price, but plus 1% per second until at minus 0% total. This is the worst way to formulate this. I'm just writing this as an example in the notes at least. Or option 3, we prevent you from getting the treasure room until we know you can afford it. Yeah. And I think option 1 is maybe best, but then the game needs to be balanced for you potentially getting this early and then getting all the treasure early too. Or option 4 is we don't even let you build the treasure room unless you get the specialization. I think we got to go with this too. I think the treasure room should only be offered at least in your third building choice. Don't offer the treasure room at all until you've chosen 2 other buildings first. Yeah, that way we make sure you have enough money. Okay, so set the time to be 5 minutes. Get rid of regular keys. Every key is still going to take 1 minute off the time. So you could use a maximum of 5 keys. So what's the most items you could possibly get? You have 5 options from the following, and repeats are allowed. +1 quantity, +1 multiplier, +1 item type. So if you did a key in each and one other key in these other ones, it'd be 3 times 3 times 2. So 18. I think that's the most you could get to. Yeah, 18 items at most. And that would involve that exact combination. Because if you ended up with 5 times 1 times 1, then you end up with 5 total items. So the difference between optimally applying keys and not is like a 3 to 4x. You can get 25. How can you get 25? You need to do 5 times 5. But that would be, you need 8 keys for that, right? Am I missing something? You can't even, the only way to even get 25 for multiplication is 5 times 5. But yeah, you can't add 4 to each of these if you can only choose 5. I don't think that's possible. I think 18 is the highest. Yeah. But I'm not sure if this is even desirable. Like, do we aim for you to get 18 keys every once in a while? We need to change the design of the treasure room itself so that you're the one picking where keys go. Otherwise, if skeletons are doing it, then you're probably getting... Actually, what would you be getting on average? I guess they just randomly put them wherever. So probably you would end up getting, I don't know, somewhere between 8 and 16 a lot of times. All right, well, we can start with this. We can just see where it takes us. So yeah, set the time on chest to be 5 minutes. Keys will still lower the time by 1 minute. Waiting for the chest at all is something you for sure want. Waiting for the chest is not ever actually intended to be a thing. I know this is kind of weird. Like, we surface a time in the game, but we never expect you to wait the whole 10 minutes. It's really just a way of having keys operate on chests. So, like, here we just spent a total of, I don't know, maybe 20 seconds so far talking about this, and there, now the chest is open. So it's like, yeah, it said 10 minutes. But if it actually took you that long to open a chest, there's probably a problem. Plus item type doubles whatever you get from multiplier and quantity. No, what I'm saying is, like, if you only have 5 keys you can put in, then what is the combination of X, Y, and Z that you get 25? And the only way to get 25, it has to be that it is 5 times 5. Because there's no way for you to get to be, it's either that or it's 1 times 25. Man, I cannot press my key correctly there. And you definitely can't get to 25. So you'd have to get +4 on 2 different multipliers, and you can't do that. So I think, like I said, I think 18 is the most. Yeah, so this is good. This is good. This is probably a good starting point. Who knows if it's actually going to be good. This is fine. Lower the purchase cost for chests. Probably lower the weapon grinding cost for keys. It's more a pity system. Yeah, and it kind of makes me wonder if this should be changed for the base game too. Like, we haven't play tested it for the base game. It exists, but it wasn't balanced. So it's pretty much impossible to know, is it fun? Does it contribute to the gameplay? Even if it was balanced, you just run out of game by the time you unlock this. Like, it should be a post-Inferno thing. Anyway, what other levers do we have here? What did I write? Cost gold to purchase a chest. We said we're going to lower that. Yeah. Chest has a starting time. We said we're going to lower that. Keys subtract 1 minute. That's going to stay the same. Keys can modify loot in the chest. I guess we're keeping that the same. So note, with a 5-minute opening time, that means you can apply 5 keys, which means you can at best get 3 times 3 times 2 items. 18 items. So we said rare keys are going to change. Loot from the chest can be changed. Loot required for level up can be changed. So if you're getting 18 items, and at best, oh, okay, let's say you only got 1 item. Say you just got 1 item. The best possible combination then would be what, +3 and +2, so 4 times 3, so you get 12 of 1 item. But then you have to put the other keys somewhere. You can't, well, you can sell a key. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, technically you could drag a key to the garbage slime if you want to get rid of it. If you only ever wanted 1 item type, you could make 12, 4 times 3 equal 12 of that item. So I think level 1 should still cost 1 item. Level 2 costing 2 is fine. Level 3 costing 3 is fine. This needs to cap out somewhere. I kind of wonder, should it be a level 4? So now everything takes 4 items at that point. Average, you're getting 6 per thing. No, I think capping out at 5 is fine. Yeah, okay. But then the stat boosts need to be kept in line. So how does this work right now? Collect 1 more fire rod to get +30 life and +3 power. All right, let's just start a new game so we only have the 1 character anyway. So we're gonna unlock this. We're gonna do that and get that and that, I guess. All right, now we get the key storage. We're going to get a treasure chest, and we're going to put in whatever keys are offered to us. Except for that one. All right. So what's this got inside of it? 28, 32 of these. So now we get 32 items out of this. And now we wait. We wait for them to bring this over here. I mean, we can speed it up. But yeah, I want to figure out, how does this actually go up in value? There. Oh, wait, darn it. Who is this? This one. All right, so +50. Now it gives, okay, it still gives +50 every time. So each level is +X power and +10X life, where X is the minimum of 5, level. So this is all going to give, oops, this is all going to give +5 power, +50 life. And then these are all, I guess we can just write it out. Plus this much power, plus this much life. Okay. what would you get from battle perks at that amount? Maybe we just start with this. I don't know. Let's just figure it out. Hey, Noisy Tofu, welcome back. Welcome back. Good to see you again. It's really coming along. Yeah, there's been a lot of work. A lot of work done. I think we just keep this stuff the same. And for the base game, we're probably going to have to change these things. But for the challenge mode, maybe this is fine. So keep the existing power progression. I'll just copy paste what I wrote here. Yeah. Noisy Tofu is literally my life. Is she better? You said she was nipped the other day, right? It's almost more fun if things are broken. Yeah, I think it can be fun, but I think you also, like, let's say that you play a game and there's the base game mode and you have fun, and then you play some mode for difficulty here. So you like raise the difficulty to hard. If it doesn't feel harder to you at all, I mean, maybe you raise it from there to impossible or something. But still, let's say they just balance it poorly and you're like, oh man, my character's just too powerful. Like there's no challenge here. It's like, well, that was the whole reason you raised the difficulty. So I don't want that to happen in challenge mode specifically. Like it just becomes well, the treasure room is the best. So whenever I build a building, if the treasure room is not offered, I'll just restart my run. Like I don't want that to happen. There does need to be some balance between any two choices that show up here. And one of the issues we have is that once you've unlocked the treasure room, if it requires perks for it to be good and you're not given those perks, then I don't know what's happening. It's good, but also bad. Hard mode equals no treasure room. Well, hard mode could just be diminished treasure room. In fact, what of these perks is actually interesting for challenge mode? Are any of them interesting? Selective loot is very interesting. This lets you pick what item you're guaranteed from a treasure chest, which maybe is even too powerful. But that could be kind of fun. What's this one? Auto opening. This is probably not fun. This is probably really bad, actually. Is this ever worth the money? What we could do is we could change it for challenge mode so that it auto opens and it adds another like 5 items to it. So that there's a reason for you to unlock this. And then special keys we're giving you by default, I guess. More treasure stands. That would be a nice upgrade. Auto purchasing. Auto purchasing is probably terrible as an upgrade. So I think we get rid of auto opening and auto purchasing at first because they're just not fun. So we only have 2 perks for the treasure room, selective loot and more treasure stands. And I said we'll add another one. Chest can start with some number of keys applied to it. This will change the balance. Oh, wait, no, it won't. This would also lower the time on the chest. All right, what am I doing? Remove the auto opening and auto purchasing. They're just not interesting enough. Unless you combine them with this one. You say like a chest starts with X keys applied to it and it automatically opens itself. But yeah, I don't think auto purchasing is interesting. If we want this in the future, we can make auto purchasing give you the chest for free or something. And then what's the final thing? That was it, I guess. Extra item seems like a reasonable incentive for hard mode. Yeah. And I think it'd be needed if we were to keep it in. But at first, maybe we just won't keep it in. All right, so this is all the stuff that I want to actually do here. These are just random nodes. Okay, let's put the random nodes down here. Oh, man. Okay. All right, let's go do it then. So don't offer the treasure room until you've gotten 2 other buildings first. All right. Close out all those things. Go to the building generator. So you can't get the warehouse or the pond until you've chosen one thing. You can't get... If numperks chosen is less than 3, then remove this. I guess I should say this. The pond isn't really usable without enough income, and the treasure room isn't really usable without enough income. Okay, so that's that. Next is get rid of regular keys. So this is just start you with the full perk level that you would have, which should be very, very simple to do. We just go into here and we give you, what is it, rare keys? What do I call this? Special keys? Oh my god, there's a key rarity. Okay, we figured it out. And we need to set this to whatever the max level is for that. So key rarity, max level. Let's just fetch that from here. This dot max level. Why is that not a thing you can do? Data dot max level? There. Okay, so max level. If we were to, how do we test this? We got to go build the treasure room. Yeah. And then we got to hack in a bunch of keys. No way, we can do that by right clicking. So we can't build the treasure room until you've already gotten enough buildings, but we start with the farm. So the second one can't be the treasure room, but the third one could be. It isn't, but then we're guaranteed to find it now. There it is. All right, so now we have the treasure room. And now we can hack in a chest and hacking keys. None of these keys should be regular keys. Yeah, they're all the colorful ones. But any ones that replace it should still be colorful ones. Yeah. This is so statistically unlikely if this we're able to generate regular keys that I'm certain that it's working. Yeah, nice. So now we get a bunch of items out of this. Kaboom. Okay, that's good. Get rid of regular keys. Set the time on chest to be 5 minutes. Treasure chest. 10. Where is that? 10. Here it is. Time remaining. So this is just set regardless of what mode we're in. So we need an init to set this time. Time remaining equals. How about we do this? We say private const double time to open in regular mode equals 10 times 60. And then time to open in challenge mode and then delete this. And in init, choose this based on town.gameplay mode as challenge mode. And then it should know how to autocomplete what I want after this. That took a very long time. Will it have multiplayer? No. No plans for multiplayer ever. There are plans for controller support. There's plans for like console support. And when I say plans, I mean like if the game does well enough and if enough people seem to want this, then great. But multiplayer, I just don't know what multiplayer would look like. The only thing I could kind of think is that you have just multiple people with, they can just move items around town, or maybe make decisions together. I'm not sure, but I don't think it would make sense. All right, so this should work. Let's go try that out now. So in challenge mode, it should take 5 minutes to open a chest. And in regular mode, it should take 10 minutes. So this should be very, very simple to test out, except for that we gotta get the option first. There it is. Okay, now we open, nope, the chest is at 5 minutes. That's perfect. Now we go to new game and we do the same thing and it should be at 10 minutes. Good. Cool. So that's done. Keys lower the time by 1 minute. That's already done. So there's nothing really to do there. Lower the purchase cost for chests. So yeah, I don't know what this should be. It's 150 right now. And I think the treasure room defines that. 150? No, maybe game constants defines it. I have no idea where it is. There it is. Treasure chest display has it. What should this be? I mean, if fish cost 50, maybe this should just be 150. Maybe we shouldn't change anything. And just make sure you're getting enough income where you can justify this. That means the perks need to rise faster too. Oh man, so difficult to figure out. Well, what's the effective cost of opening a chest and having it be worthwhile? 150 to purchase it, and then 50 for each key. And you can have 5 keys max. So you can have a 400 total purchase cost. And that's your power progression for that character. The sludge equivalent would be like way higher. I don't think we change any of these costs. I don't think we do it. Yeah. I'm going to X this out and X this one out. Okay, so now remove, let's do this one next. This is easier. Remove auto opening and auto purchasing. So how do we do this one? We go to town generator and available perks. Where's the treasure room? Here it is. So remove auto purchasing and auto opening. And I guess this one too, because you're already going to be maxed. So these two are still perks that you can have. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Do you have a reason to have more treasure chests? Only if you wanted the time to count down for you. Or you wanted to pick which one's getting which keys. Both are not great reasons. All if auto purchasing were a thing, they could be better reasons. Maybe auto purchase is interesting. No, I don't think so. Not on its own. I'll write this down in cleanup or something like that. Let's think of it later. Think of whether we want auto purchasing for the treasure room. If we do, then the treasure spirit should turn it on by default. Also, we could make it more enticing by bundling it with some other upgrade. E.g., chests start with, I don't know, 2 items in them by default rather than 1. It's a very, very minor upgrade, but then it gets multiplied by a bunch of numbers. So it is doubling the number of items you have. And it might sound like doubling from 1 to 2 is bad, but it's doubling no matter what. So if you would have had 20, you'll now have 40. This is more powerful than it sounds, since it doubles the number of items you will get. Okay, that adds another playtester question that we're going to need to ask, which is, does the treasure room feel too powerful? Waiting for the chest to open without keys pays out more than having more chests is worthwhile. Yeah, and I wonder if we should do that kind of trade-off perk. Like, keys lose all of their special effects. I write this down in specific ideas, or maybe in general ideas, trade-offs. Yeah, maybe something like keys only subtract time, but all chests grant 10 items. This would highly incentivize getting lots of treasure chests rather than, yeah. Rather than getting special keys. That way, time is naturally chipping away at the I'll just write it like that. I know what I'm talking about. Okay, back to the to-do list. And how are we looking on time for lunch? Oven should be done in 20 minutes. So we got 20 minutes to finish some of this stuff up. All right, so then this is the other thing we want to do. A chest can start with X non-skeleton special keys applied to it. This could be a regular mode perk too. Why would it be challenge mode only? Huh. Should we? Yeah, I think it's fun. Maybe we put a couple levels on this. Also lower the time on the chest. Yeah. Yeah, it's very impactful. That's for sure. Okay. Yeah. Not challenge mode only. Add perk to both regular and challenge mode. All right, so what is X? X is 1, 0, 1, 2, I think. So that in regular mode, a chest could start at 8 minutes remaining, and in challenge mode, it could start at 3 minutes remaining. I think that's pretty good. Yeah. And I think having 2 levels is good. I think anything else, and we'd have to just change other values, basically. Now in challenge mode, this does technically mean you're saving 100 gold per chest because you don't need to buy those keys. Might need something else for you to do with money. But we'll figure it out. Will there be any accessibility features in the future? Increase text and UI. Those, so we already have that in the game now. There's this game scale setting, which you can just increase, which increases the size of everything on the screen. So now you can zoom way in, and all of the text that you might read is also much larger. Other than that, there's not really anything planned. And we're not guaranteed to support this for every size monitor. So like a game scale of 3 means I now need to scroll this UI. I mean, that's just by virtue of having this thing be larger, of course. But sure, that's scrollable, but then this is not totally visible at much higher settings. Like here, for example, if your window's only this big, yeah, you can use this, but it's probably very difficult. So I keep mine at 2. And I like this. I think this is pretty good. I can read everything. Beyond that, I will say for regular mode in the game, it is at your own pace. So if you use your OS level zooming, then you won't feel like you're rushed. Like if this were a fighting game and you're like, okay, I need to input whether I'm going to punch or kick my opponent. Let me zoom in on their health first and check which one's going to do more damage. Then let me zoom out and input my thing. You'd be like, I'm already dead by then. But yeah, in this game, you can do everything at your leisure until you hit challenge mode. Once you're in challenge mode, you do have a time. And right now it's 45 minutes, but we might end up lowering this a bit. I'm not sure. But that's the time until you lose. You could win faster than that, but you can't lose faster than that. Hey, Godzilla. Okay, let's see if we can code this in like 15 minutes. So we're going to go add treasure room. What are we calling this? Chest can start with some number of keys applied to it. Okay, what do we name this? What do we call this? Innate keys. Or like bundle purchase. I kind of like innate keys. Let's start with that. Treasure room, innate keys. All right, so it's going to be like key rarity. So let's search for that. Save this thing. So this is going to be num keys 0, 1, 2. Num keys. Icon ID. We need a new icon ID for this. Yeah. Add icon and modify art requests. So key rarity for now, we'll just say Apple Core. All right, get chance. I mean, we could rename this to get num keys. I'm not sure what we're going to do yet exactly here. All right, so this is not a percentage. It's not even an integer, or not even a float. It's just an integer. In which case, this can just be a 0. If you're interested in any feedback for accessibility, specifically for low vision players. Yeah, I'm interested. If you ever end up playing the demo and you find that there's a problem, or you play the full version or find that there's a problem, I think feel free to send any feedback my way. The demo is available now. I don't think you have to do this now. And okay, yeah, you are doing this now. Well, thank you, Tofu. But I guess I'll also include this caveat. If there are any problems, it's just so hard to even justify any extra dev time for anything right now. Like, accessibility for vision impaired players is something I'd like to support, and we already have some support for it. But if, let's say, what you wanted to do is, okay, I want to increase the text on this, but not increase like the size of these icons, like that's probably not going to be easy to do. Okay, so let's delete that until we find out we need it. We don't need this. We don't need this. The rest of that's fine. This is get keys header. We're going to call it innate keys. And we'll say purchased chess start as though they have some number of special. Are we saying special keys? Where's the key rarity thing? What do we say here? Weapon grinder will produce special keys more frequently. I guess we should include the same note that we had. Fine. So purchase chess will start as though they have some number of special keys applied to them. This isn't even true. They're non-skeleton keys. Ugh. Where's the skeleton key? So we want this, this, or this. Just those 3 keys. So let's just come up with the names of those 3 keys then. Purchase chess will start as though they have some number of these special keys applied to them, colon, and then key names. There. Okay. Now we get key names. And the key names that you're allowed to have here are going to be the list, I guess a hash set of item IDs. It doesn't really matter what we do here. Hash set item ID key IDs equals item ID dot. It's not these, but that at least makes this easier to do this and do that. There we go. So those are the IDs. Now the names are going to be key IDs dot select all item data dot get ID dot display name. Okay, I think we're good. Let's go add this into the treasure perks. This is called innate keys. And what else do we have to do? I think that's it. We haven't made it work yet, but at least the perk should show up. And I want to just see, is the formatting correct? We'll see in the tooltip, does it make sense to players, that sort of thing. Oh, I should have bolded the key names. I forgot to do that. Okay, unfortunately we start in challenge mode, and that makes it very difficult because we can't see the perk unless we get lucky there. But now we can see this. So I will zoom in on this. There. All right, innate keys. Purchased chests start as though they have some number of these special keys applied to them. Item key, key of quantity, and key of multiplicity. Yeah, we just make those bold or put them in a list. UL/UL. And then join with a new line. And then should we make them bold? Maybe not. Let's try this. Oh, you know what I could do? I could save. And then I think it'll try to load as though it's in challenge mode, which might actually work. I've never tried this before. Because I just said saving and loading is broken while I'm working on challenge mode. Yeah, it does think we're in challenge mode, and it doesn't think we have the perk. So we have to go to here and then load the game. And now we have this. Okay. So is that better? I think this looks even uglier somehow. Purchase chest start as though they have some number of these special keys applied to them. I don't like this. Yeah, I don't like this. Item key, where is that? It's not even, oh, that's its thing. Opens a chest 1 minute sooner. Opens a chest 1 minute sooner, increases the drop quantity. Yeah, I think if we put the descriptions next to them, it would look a little bit better. So, how's this going to look? We do something like this. /B : description. Where I guess we have to get the description of this. Is that not a thing? Tooltip description. What? Flavor text? Oh, God. All right. This is probably going to be a mess. Lifebeard, thanks for the resub. Wow, happy 17 months. I've not seen you type anything in chat in a long time. I was like, there is a name from yesteryear. I hope you're well. All right, this is like the longest description now. But actually, I think this does look pretty decent. Somehow it got better when we added the descriptions here. Purchase chests start as though they have some number of these special keys applied to them. Item key opens a chest 1 minute sooner. Key of quantity and key of multiplicity. Yeah, this is pretty nice. Now the sum number, I'm not sure about that part. Purchase chests start as though they have some of these special keys. Yeah, that's good. Okay, now we just need to make it functional in the next 7 minutes. So we set the treasure in here. This does not... Oh, this does have the town. Well, this should be pretty easy, right? So if adventurer class is none, add a random type. Else drop item types. Then we need to, if town.player abilities dot has, or I guess get level of ability. What do I want to do here? I want to say like apply innate keys. Yeah. Spend time finishing my PhD. Nice. How much longer do you have? Private void apply innate keys. Okay. Do we have the town saved off? Yes, we do. Okay. This should be easy. Level or innate key level equals this. And then we should technically get the number of keys. So let's do that here. Public static int get num keys. It's not even level that I want to pass in. I want to pass in the abilities component. And then from here, do that. Yep, that's exactly what I want. Okie dokie. Now we go back into treasure chest. That's yes. We don't care about the level anymore. We care about the number of keys to get to grant, which is going to be the innate keys ability dot get number of keys. Perfect. And then for each key, we want to apply the random key effect, but it can only be the one in the rare keys that we see or in the innate keys section. So maybe like public static list or hash set. Item ID, get innate key IDs, good. And then change this thing down here. Nice. Use properties where appropriate. Sure, we'll change that afterward. I don't care about that right now. Okay, so we're gonna randomly pick one, which means having it as a list would actually be easier for us. Sure. Which means this needs to be a list. Although it didn't really need to be. We could have just done this here. Okay, back to treasure chest. So now go through. Perfect. And then apply that. How do we apply it? I don't know. Apply key to chest. There it is. We could make an item and then apply the item and then delete the item. Oh, the item gets deleted anyway. Okie dokie. This is much easier than I thought. Item not create. Item ID, key ID. And does this do anything else? And a quantity? We don't need a quantity. And then we say apply key to chest. And we're done. Let's try it. Should submit it the next month. Wow. Congrats and good luck. It's quite the time to stick with something. Okay, so we go back to here, go back to this, click load. So if we were to just buy a treasure chest, it's at 10 minutes. If we get this perk and then buy a treasure chest, it's at 9 minutes and it has drop multiplier on it. Cool. Let's try another couple times. So this one got drop multiplier. This one technically got quantity, but you can't tell because I don't have another adventurer. So let's get more treasure chest displays so I don't need to wait as long. There we go. Okay, so that one, yep, 2 items in there, 2 different items in there, 2 different items in there, and then drop multiplier in there. Cool. Okay, and then let's upgrade the perk one more time. And now we start with 2 keys. So now they're all at 8 minutes. This one has 3 drop quantity. This one has 2 item types and 2 multiplier. Same. And 2 item types and 2 drop quantity. Yeah, this is pretty cool. Technically been watching you for longer than I've been doing my PhD. Yeah, I figured. I recognize you didn't say how long it's been taking you to do your PhD so far, but I've only seen people take a very long time to do them. Like the average time is a very long time to do them. Also, I feel like if you do a PhD and you have no gaps in your schooling and you take the average time to do it, then it's like you're in school for what, like 21 years of your life? Or maybe 22 years of your life? Talking about like kindergarten through 12 and then college and then your master's degree and then your PhD. So like kindergarten is, 4 or 5 and you're what, like 26 when you get done. Maybe more than that then. Yeah, maybe this is like 23 years of your life. Anyway, I think that's crazy because even if you just went through regular amount of schooling, it's like that's still a large number of years. And the more you're in school for, like imagine if some people were just in school from when they're 5 until they're 50. It's like then if you're ever not in school, it's like, well, that's the only life you've known up until that point. And I mean, the PhD holders that I know are well-adjusted people. So obviously it doesn't have like some like mega negative impact. But it's just a wild thought to me. I was done after college. I was just like, I'm not doing any more of this. And I've heard of some friends who go back to school after a large gap. Actually, I know a few people who are doing this. And depending on what kind of school they're going to, the age gap between them and the other students can be quite a lot. One of my friends went back to school. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah. And I don't think the age gap is necessarily a problem, but I do think there's like a social aspect and a general sort of level of expectation from the students, and you just probably feel like you can connect with them less. Yeah, so I think this is done. We got to add the icon. We got to modify the art request. These are things that, we're pretty much out of time. The oven's about to beep. And I think it automatically shuts off, but I'm not going to take a risk on that. So afternoon, I'll just say where I left off, needed to add an icon and fill out the journal. We'll write this in Tuesday. And then what, just keep working on the next to-do items. Yeah. Struggle with socializing, particularly at masters and below levels. Yeah. And it makes sense. Like most people enter college when they're about 18. So imagine, even if you're not too much older than that, maybe you're 26, it's like you're still sort of at a different life phase than someone who's 18. And mental maturity and everything too. But I mean, life phase is also just like, you can talk to people who are younger than you. It's just hard to connect to them if they're, it's like, oh, I'm looking to buy a house, and the other person's like, I'm playing cool video games. All right, yeah, I hear the oven beeping. I should get going. I'm gonna get my lunch. It's about 12:13. I'll try to be back in about an hour, and we'll just keep churning through this to-do list. I hope you've all been enjoying the stream so far. And the today command is a video from Plum Yeti. So if you want to watch some Skeleseller content and see what is this game all about, they were experiencing it for the first time in that YouTube video, and I like throwing them some views or some subscriptions if anyone wants to. So I hope you all have a good day. I'll be back in about an hour if you want to keep watching. If not, I'll see you maybe tomorrow. Bye.